Chapter 1. The Scent of Destiny. The neon sign of the Silver Moon Tavern buzzed and flickered against the rain-soaked window. Maya Chen wiped down the scarred oak bar for the third time that hour, her dark eyes tracking the last handful of customers nursing their drinks in the dim corners. 11:45. 15 more minutes until closing. She pushed a strand of black hair behind her ear and exhaled slowly. The tips had been decent tonight, enough to cover next month's rent on her tiny apartment above the bar. Enough to keep her afloat in this nowhere mountain town where she'd landed 3 years ago, running from a past she couldn't quite remember. The doctors had called it traumatic amnesia. Everything before her 18th birthday was a blur of shadows and half-formed images. She remembered fire, screaming, the smell of pine trees burning, and then nothing. Just waking up in a hospital 2 states away with no identification and no one looking for her. So she'd built a new life. Quiet, simple, safe. Last call, she announced, her voice carrying across the nearly empty tavern. The regulars nodded and finished their beers. Old Tom, the truck driver. Sarah and Michelle, the couple who lived down the mountain. Even the mysterious guy in the back corner, the one who'd been nursing the same whiskey for 2 hours, started reaching for his wallet. Then the door opened. Maya looked up with her practiced closing time smile, ready to politely turn away whoever was coming in this late. The smile died on her lips. 6 men walked through the door, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. They moved with a predatory grace that made every instinct in Maya's body scream danger. Tall, broad-shouldered, their eyes scanning the room with an intensity that made her skin prickle. But it was the one in front who made her heart stop. He was built like a warrior, well over 6 feet, with dark hair pulled back in a low knot and eyes that gleamed amber even in the tavern's dim light. A scar cut through his left eyebrow, giving him a dangerous edge that should have terrified her. Instead, something deep in her chest pulled tight, like a string had been tied around her ribs and yanked. His gaze locked onto hers, and she watched his entire body go rigid. His nostrils flared. The men behind him stopped moving, their heads turning toward her in unison. "We're about to close," Maya managed, her voice shakier than she'd like. The scarred man's jaw clenched. When he spoke, his voice was deep and rough, like gravel under velvet. "We only need a moment." She should say no. Should tell them to come back tomorrow. But her hand was already reaching for glasses, pouring whiskey with fingers that trembled slightly. "What brings you to town?" she asked, trying to sound casual as she set the glasses on the bar. "We're looking for someone," said one of the others, a man with silver-streaked hair despite appearing only in his 30s, his eyes a startling ice blue. Maya's stomach twisted. "This is a small town. I might know them. We're looking for you." The glass slipped from her hand, shattering against the floor. Amber liquid spread across the wood like blood. "I think you have the wrong person," she said, backing toward the phone mounted on the wall behind the bar. The scarred man raised his hand in a placating gesture. "Please, just listen. My name is Kieran Thorne. These are my associates. We've been searching for you for a very long time, Maya Chen. Or should I say, Maya Silverbrook. I don't know what you're talking about. Your parents were Marcus and Elena Silverbrook," Kieran continued, his voice gentle despite the intensity in his eyes. "They were the alphas of the Silverbrook pack. They died protecting you 20 years ago, and you were hidden, protected, until your bloodline awakened." "You're insane," Maya whispered, but even as she said it, images flashed through her mind. A woman with her eyes, singing a lullaby. A man's deep laugh. The smell of pine and earth then. The door to the tavern slammed open. Another man stood in the entrance, this one wrapped in a black coat, rain dripping from his shoulders. His eyes were wrong, completely black like pits. "Found her," the stranger said, his voice echoing strangely. Kieran moved faster than anything human should be able to move. 1 second he was at the bar. The next he was between Maya and the newcomer, his body radiating menace. "Shadow Walker," Kieran growled. "You're trespassing on neutral ground." The stranger smiled, revealing teeth that were just slightly too sharp. "The Covenant doesn't recognize neutral ground anymore. The girl comes with me, or I'll tear this entire town apart to get her." Maya watched in frozen horror as Kieran's body began to change. His bones cracked and reformed. Fur rippled across his skin. His face elongated into a muzzle filled with gleaming fangs. Where a man had stood, a massive black wolf now crouched, easily the size of a small horse, its amber eyes fixed on the Shadow Walker. The other 5 men were changing too, their bodies twisting and reshaping into wolves of different colors: silver, gray, russet, white, and golden brown. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. But then the shadow walker laughed, and shadows peeled away from the walls like living things, reaching toward her with fingers of darkness. Maya did the only thing that made sense. She ran. Chapter 2: The Awakening. Maya's lungs burned as she sprinted through the back door of the tavern into the alley. Rain pelted her face, cold and sharp. Behind her, she heard the sound of snarling, crashing furniture, and something that sounded like screaming wind. Her apartment. She needed to get to her apartment, grab her emergency bag, and get the hell out of this town. She'd made it halfway up the external staircase when a hand grabbed her ankle. Maya screamed, kicking backward. Her foot connected with something solid, and she heard a grunt of pain. She scrambled up the remaining steps, fumbling with her keys. "Maya, wait." It was Kieran's voice, human again. She risked a glance back. He stood at the base of the stairs, fully clothed somehow, his amber eyes pleading. Behind him, 2 of his companions kept watch, still in wolf form. "Stay away from me," she shouted, finally getting the key in the lock. "The shadow walker is gone, but he'll be back with reinforcements. You're not safe here. You're not safe anywhere without protection. I was perfectly safe until you showed up." She slammed through the door, deadbolting it behind her. Her apartment was small, just a studio with a kitchenette and a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. But it had been hers. Safe. Normal. Now everything was falling apart. Maya grabbed her go-bag from under the bed. She'd always kept one packed, a habit from her amnesia days when she'd feared whoever had hurt her might come back. Cash, a change of clothes, fake ID, prepaid phone. Everything she needed to disappear. A knock at the door made her freeze. "Maya." Kieran's voice was calm, controlled. "I know you're frightened. I know this seems impossible. But your scent triggered something in 6 alphas tonight. That hasn't happened in over a century. It only happens when." "When what?" she demanded through the door. Silence. "Then, when a true alpha is born. The last of a bloodline thought extinct. You're not just a werewolf, Maya. You're royalty." She laughed, high and brittle. "I'm a bartender with no memory of her childhood. I'm nobody. That's what they wanted you to believe. The people who killed your parents and burned your pack to the ground wanted you to forget, to never awaken. But you've turned 25, and the blood doesn't lie." 25. Her birthday had been last week. She'd celebrated alone with a cupcake and a candle, like always. "How did you find me?" she asked, pressing her forehead against the door. "Your scent changed. When a true alpha reaches maturity, their pheromones become unmistakable. Every alpha within 500 miles would have felt it. That's why the Shadow Walker came. That's why we came. The difference is, we want to protect you. The Covenant wants to use you. The Covenant, a group of rogue wolves who believe that true alphas are meant to be controlled, bred, their power harvested for." A crash from the window cut him off. Maya spun to see glass exploding inward, and the Shadow Walker climbing through, his black eyes fixed on her with hunger. "Time's up, little alpha," he hissed. Maya's body reacted before her mind could catch up. Heat exploded through her veins, burning from her core outward. Her vision sharpened. Her senses expanded. She could smell everything. The Shadow Walker's rotten ash scent, Kieran's pine and leather smell through the door, the rain on the wind. And something else. Something wild and ancient unfurling inside her chest. The Shadow Walker lunged. Maya's hand shot out, and light burst from her palm. Pure, silver moonlight that slammed into the Shadow Walker like a physical force. He shrieked, his form dissolving into wisps of shadow that scattered across the room. The door exploded inward. Kieran stood there, his eyes wide. "Impossible," he breathed. "You haven't even shifted yet, and you're already channeling moon magic." Maya stared at her hands. They were glowing faintly, silver light dancing across her skin like electricity. "What's happening to me?" "You're awakening," Kieran said, stepping carefully into the room. Faster than anyone anticipated. "Maya, we need to leave. Now. That Shadow Walker will reform, and when he does, he'll bring the entire Covenant down on this town. I can't just leave. Everyone in this building is in danger as long as you're here. Everyone you've ever spoken to, every customer who comes to that bar. The Covenant doesn't leave witnesses." The words hit her like ice water. Mrs. Chun downstairs with her 3 cats. The college kid in apartment 3B. Old Tom, who came in every Friday for a beer and to talk about his dead wife. Where would we even go? Kieran extended his hand. Somewhere safe. Somewhere the old laws still hold. My pack's territory in the northern mountains. The Covenant can't touch you there without starting a war they're not ready for. Your pack. Maya's laugh was hollow. The pack of a complete stranger who claims I'm some kind of werewolf princess. True alpha, he corrected gently. And I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to trust your instincts. What does your gut tell you? Maya closed her eyes. Beneath the fear and confusion, something else stirred. A certainty she couldn't explain. This man, this alpha, he wasn't lying. And more than that, she opened her eyes and met his amber gaze. My gut says you're dangerous. But not to me. His lips curved in the faintest smile. Smart gut. A howl echoed through the night, distant but getting closer. Then another. And another. They're coming, said the silver-haired man, appearing in the doorway behind Kieran. At least 20 Covenant wolves, plus whatever shadow walkers they've summoned. We need to move. Kieran kept his hand extended, patient, waiting for her choice. Maya grabbed her go-bag, slung it over her shoulder, and took his hand. His fingers closed around hers, warm and solid, and something clicked into place. A connection she felt in her bones, thrumming through the silver light still dancing under her skin. My pack is waiting at the edge of town, Kieran said. Can you run? Maya thought about all those years of running. Running from her past, from her nightmares, from the holes in her memory. I'm done running, she said. But I can fight. Kieran's smile widened, fierce and proud. Then let's show them what a true alpha can do. They hit the stairs at a sprint, the other wolves flanking them. Behind them, Maya heard her apartment window shatter completely as something massive forced its way inside. The hunt had begun. And for the first time in her life, Maya wasn't the prey. Chapter 3. Blood and Moonlight. The streets of the mountain town were empty, slick with rain. Maya ran between Kieran and the silver-haired wolf. Still in animal form, its massive paws silent on the wet pavement despite its size. How far? Maya gasped, her lungs burning. 2 miles to the rendezvous point, Kieran answered, not even winded. Can you make it? Before she could answer, a howl split the night, close, too close. Maya glanced back and saw them. Shadows pouring around the corner like liquid darkness, coalescing into wolf shapes with eyes that glowed red. They're faster than I thought, Kieran muttered. He turned to the silver wolf. Gideon, take her. We'll buy you time. The wolf, Gideon, shifted mid-stride, bones cracking and reforming until a tall man with silver hair and ice-blue eyes ran beside her. This way. He grabbed Maya's hand and pulled her down an alley. Behind them, she heard Kieran shouting orders, then the sound of bodies colliding. We're just leaving them, Maya demanded. They can handle themselves. You're the priority. Gideon's accent was crisp, almost British. The true alpha cannot fall into Covenant hands. The consequences would be. A Covenant wolf landed in front of them, cutting off the alley. Its muzzle was scarred, its red eyes fixed on Maya with sick hunger. Gideon moved to shift, but Maya felt that heat rising in her chest again, faster this time. More controlled. No, she said. I've got this. She didn't know how she knew what to do. The knowledge simply appeared. Like muscle memory from a life she'd forgotten. Maya thrust her hand forward, and moonlight erupted from her palm in a concentrated beam. It struck the Covenant wolf square in the chest, and the creature's howl of pain turned into a shriek as its form began to dissolve. Shadow touched, Gideon breathed. They've been corrupted by dark magic. Your light burns them. More wolves were coming. Maya could hear them, smell them. Her senses were sharpening by the second, her body changing even though she hadn't shifted. How many? She asked. Gideon closed his eyes briefly. 15. Maybe 20. Too many to fight. Then we don't fight. We run. They burst from the alley onto Main Street. A black SUV screeched to a halt in front of them, and a woman leaned out the passenger window. Petite, with wild red hair and green eyes that flashed gold. Get in, she shouted. Gideon didn't hesitate, yanking open the back door and pushing Maya inside. He dove in after her as the SUV peeled out, tires screaming on wet asphalt. About time, Rowan, Gideon said to the driver, a broad-shouldered man with dark skin and kind eyes. We ran into complications, Rowan replied, his deep voice calm despite the chaos. The Covenant set up roadblocks on the main highway. We had to double back. The red-haired woman turned in her seat to study Maya. So you're the one causing all this fuss. I'm Sky. That's Rowan. And you already met Gideon the Grumpy. I'm not grumpy, I'm cautious, Gideon corrected. Despite everything, Maya felt her lips twitch. Maya. And I didn't ask for any of this. Nobody asks to be born special, honey, Sky said. But here we are. How are you feeling? Any shifting urges? Uncontrollable rage? Sudden desire to eat raw meat? Sky, Gideon warned. What? These are legitimate questions. Maya touched her chest, where that wild heat still simmered. I feel strange. Like there's something inside me trying to get out. And I keep seeing things, flashes of memories that aren't mine. A woman singing. A man teaching me to track. A symbol carved into stone. She trailed off as the image crystallized in her mind. A crescent moon encircled by thorns. The Silverbrook sigil, Gideon said quietly. Your family crest. The memories are returning. The awakening breaks the mental blocks that were placed on you. The SUV swerved suddenly. In the rearview mirror, Maya saw 3 black motorcycles gaining on them. Riders in dark leather with red eyes visible even at this distance. Covenant hunters, Rowan said. Hold on. He yanked the wheel hard, sending them careening down a side road. The forest pressed close on either side, pine trees towering into the darkness. Where's Kieran? Maya asked, gripping the door handle. Leading his team on a parallel route, Sky answered. We split up to divide their forces. We'll regroup at. An explosion rocked the SUV. Maya's head cracked against the window, stars bursting across her vision. The vehicle spun out, slamming into a tree with a sickening crunch of metal. For a moment, there was only ringing silence and the hiss of steam from the ruined engine. Then Gideon was pulling her from the wreckage. Can you walk? Maya's head throbbed, but she nodded. Rowan and Sky were already out, the latter's hands glowing with a strange orange light. Which? Maya asked, surprised. Sky grinned. Half witch, half wolf. Makes me a great party trick. Now get behind me. The Covenant hunters had stopped their motorcycles in a semicircle, blocking the road. There were 5 of them, all shifting into wolf form. Bigger than any natural wolf, their fur matted and dark, eyes burning red. 5 against 4, Rowan said. I've faced worse odds. 3, Gideon corrected. Maya hasn't shifted yet. She's defenseless. I am not defenseless, Maya snapped, even as fear clawed at her throat. The largest Covenant wolf, a massive beast with a torn ear, stepped forward. When it spoke, its voice was a guttural rasp that shouldn't have been possible from a wolf's throat. Give us the true alpha, and we'll let the rest of you live. Counterproposal, Sky said sweetly. You turn around and run, and we won't turn you into dog food. The torn-eared wolf laughed, a horrible sound. The witch has jokes. The Covenant has orders. The girl comes with us or everyone dies. Gideon shifted, his transformation smooth and practiced. One moment a man, the next a massive silver wolf with ice-blue eyes. Rowan followed, his wolf form dark gray and heavily muscled. Sky's hands blazed brighter, orange flames dancing between her fingers. And Maya stood in the center, feeling that pressure building inside her chest like a dam about to break. Last chance, the torn-eared wolf said. Maya, Sky said without looking back. When I say run, you run. Don't look back. Head north through the trees. There's a safe house 3 miles. No, Maya interrupted. The silver light was rising through her skin now, visible even in the darkness. She could feel her bones trying to reshape, her body fighting to transform into something it had never been before. I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of people dying because of me. Maya, Gideon started. But it was too late. The dam broke. Power exploded from Maya in a shockwave of pure moonlight. The Covenant wolves were thrown backward, slamming into trees with bone-cracking force. The torn-eared leader tried to lunge, and Maya's hand shot out instinctively. Silver chains of light materialized from thin air, wrapping around the wolf and binding it to the ground. Maya stared at her hands in shock. How did I? Moon binding, Gideon breathed, shifting back to human form. A true alpha's most powerful ability. You can bind other wolves with your will alone. But that should be impossible. You haven't even completed your first shift. The bound wolf snarled and thrashed, but the chains held firm. The other Covenant wolves were retreating, clearly spooked. One howled, a signal, and within seconds, they'd vanished into the forest, leaving their leader behind. Maya approached the bound wolf carefully. Up close, she could see the corruption in its eyes. Not just red, but streaked with black veins like poison spreading through blood. What did they do to you? She whispered. The wolf's lips pulled back in a snarl. The covenant offers power. True power. Not the weakness of the old ways. By corrupting you with shadow magic? Sky spat. That's not power. That's slavery. Better to serve strength than bow to an extinct bloodline. The wolf's red eyes fixed on Maya. You think you're special? You're just meat. A womb to breed the next generation of true alphas for whoever claims you first. That's all you'll ever be. The words should have hurt, should have frightened her. Instead, Maya felt something cold and ancient settle over her like a cloak. You're wrong, she said quietly. The silver chains tightened, and the wolf yelped. I am Maya Silverbrook, daughter of Marcus and Elena, last of my bloodline, and I bow to no one. She released the binding, and the wolf scrambled to its feet, backing away. Tell your covenant masters this, Maya continued. If they want me, they can come themselves. But they'd better bring an army. The wolf turned and fled into the darkness. Silence fell over the wrecked scene. Then Sky started laughing. Okay, I officially like her. Gideon, can we keep her? Gideon's expression was unreadable. That was either the bravest or most foolish thing I've ever witnessed. Both, Rowan said, but he was smiling. Definitely both. Kieran's going to have a fit when he hears about this. As if summoned by his name, headlights cut through the trees. Another SUV, this one unmarked, pulled up, and Kieran emerged, his amber eyes immediately finding Maya. He crossed the distance between them in 3 long strides, his hands gripping her shoulders as he scanned her for injuries. You're hurt, he said, touching the cut on her forehead from the crash. I'm fine. You bound a covenant wolf. Without shifting. Without training. His voice was tight with something between awe and anger. Do you have any idea how dangerous that was? About as dangerous as fighting off 20 of them, so I could escape? Maya shot back. They stared at each other, tension crackling in the air between them. Then Kieran's lips curved in a slow smile. You really are your father's daughter. He would have done exactly the same thing. Something warm unfurled in Maya's chest at those words. A connection to the past she'd lost. To the family she'd never known. Tell me about him, she said softly. Tell me about them. My parents. Kieran's expression gentled. I will. I promise. But first, we need to get you somewhere safe. The Covenant knows exactly where we are now, and they won't send just hunters next time. What will they send? Kieran's jaw tightened. The Elders. Ancient wolves who've lived for centuries. Wolves who remember when true alphas ruled all the packs. Wolves who want that power for themselves. He guided her toward the SUV, his hand warm on her back. How long do we have? Maya asked. Until the next full moon. 3 days. Kieran opened the door for her. Which means we have 3 days to teach you to control your power, complete your first shift, and prepare for a war. Maya slid into the vehicle, exhaustion finally catching up with her. And if I can't? Kieran's amber eyes blazed in the darkness. Then we all die trying to protect you, because that's what you do for your alpha. He closed the door, and as the SUV pulled away from the wreckage, Maya caught her reflection in the window. Her eyes were glowing silver. The awakening had truly begun. Chapter 4, The Pack's Domain. The SUV climbed higher into the mountains as dawn broke, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. Maya hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of things she shouldn't remember. A younger version of herself running through these same forests, her mother's voice teaching her the names of herbs, her father's strong hands showing her how to track prey. Memories that had been locked away for 20 years were flooding back, overwhelming and fragmented. We're here, Kieran announced. Maya looked out the window and gasped. A massive lodge stood in a clearing surrounded by towering pines. But calling it a lodge was like calling the ocean a puddle. The structure was built from huge logs and stone, 3 stories tall with wings extending in either direction. Smoke curled from multiple chimneys. Through the windows, she could see movement. People gathering as word of their arrival spread. This is your pack's territory? Maya asked. The Thornridge Pack, Kieran confirmed. We've held these mountains for 12 generations. 200 wolves call this place home. 200. Maya's stomach twisted. And they all know about me? They know a true alpha has awakened. They don't know the details yet. Kieran parked the SUV and turned to face her. Maya, I need you to understand something. My pack is loyal, but they're also wary. The last true alpha they encountered was your father, and his death nearly started a war between all the northern packs. Some wolves here lost family in that conflict, so they might not exactly welcome me with open arms. Some won't. Others will see you as hope, a chance to restore the old ways, to unite the packs again. He reached over and took her hand. But you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Not yet. Right now, you just need to rest and learn. The warmth of his touch sent that strange tingling sensation up her arm again. Maya pulled her hand back, unsettled by the intensity of her reaction to him. "Why do I feel this way when you touch me?" she asked bluntly. Kieran's expression grew guarded. "You felt it too." "Felt what?" "The mate bond." He said it quietly, like an admission of something dangerous. "It's rare, but when a true alpha meets their destined mate, the recognition is immediate. Undeniable." Maya's heart hammered. "You think we're mates?" "I don't think." "I know." His amber eyes held hers. "But that doesn't mean you have to accept it. The bond can be rejected. It's your choice, Maya. Always your choice." Before she could respond, Sky opened Maya's door from outside. "Come on, you two can have your dramatic moment later. The pack council is waiting, and they're not known for their patience." Maya climbed out, grateful for the interruption. The mate bond revelation was too much to process on top of everything else. The lodge's front door opened, and a woman emerged. She was tall and regal, with steel-gray hair pulled into an elegant knot and eyes the color of storm clouds. She wore practical clothing, jeans and a flannel shirt, but carried herself like royalty. "Kieran," she said, her voice cool, "you've brought us a complication." "I've brought us hope, Magistra," Kieran replied, using what Maya assumed was a title of respect. "May I present Maya Silverbrook, last daughter of the Silverbrook line." The woman, Magistra, studied Maya with an intensity that made her want to squirm. Then, to Maya's shock, the older woman inclined her head in a slight bow. "Your father saved my life once," Magistra said. "I swore an oath to House Silverbrook that day. An oath that extends to you. Welcome to Thornridge, young Alpha." The gesture seemed to ripple through the gathered pack members. One by one, they began to bow their heads in acknowledgement. Not submission. Maya sensed that instinctively. But recognition. Respect. "Thank you," Maya managed, her voice thick with emotion she couldn't name. Magistra straightened. "The council will meet in 1 hour. Until then, Kieran, get her settled." She looks half dead on her feet. "This way," Kieran said, guiding Maya into the lodge. Inside was even more impressive. The main hall featured soaring ceilings with exposed beams, a massive stone fireplace, and comfortable furniture arranged in conversation areas. Wolves of all ages moved through the space, some in human form, some partially shifted with wolf ears and tails, a few in full wolf form padding across the polished wood floors. Children played in one corner, their laughter bright and carefree. An elderly man sat by the fire, carving something from wood. A group of young adults practiced what looked like combat drills in a cleared area. It felt like a home, a community, everything Maya had never had. "Your room is upstairs," Kieran said, leading her toward a wide staircase. "It's in the family wing. My quarters are down the hall if you need anything." They climbed to the second floor, where the hallway was lined with doors and photographs. Maya paused at one, a formal portrait of a man and woman, both dressed in ceremonial robes, standing with their hands joined. The woman had Maya's eyes, the same black hair, the same tilt to her chin. "That's them," she whispered. "My parents." Kieran stopped beside her. "Taken at their mating ceremony. I was just a boy, but I remember it. The whole pack came out to celebrate. Your mother sang, and your father challenged anyone who could beat him at arm wrestling to a barrel of his finest whiskey. Did anyone win? No one came close." Kieran's smile was soft with memory. "He was the strongest alpha I'd ever seen. Until you bound that covenant wolf last night with nothing but willpower. That kind of raw power. You inherited more than just his title, Maya." She touched the photograph gently, wishing she could remember. Wishing she'd had more than flashes and fragments. What happened to them? Really? Not the version for outsiders, the truth. Kieran's expression darkened. The covenant wasn't always what it is now. 20 years ago, it was a political movement, wolves who believed the old pack hierarchies were obsolete. They wanted democracy, equality, an end to the alpha bloodlines. Noble goals initially. But extremists took over. They decided the only way to ensure equality was to eliminate anyone with alpha blood entirely. Your parents were the strongest true alphas in generations. They became the primary target. Kieran's voice dropped. The attack came during the winter solstice celebration. The Covenant sent assassins, shadow-touched wolves, and dark witches. Your parents fought, bought enough time for someone to escape with you. By the time reinforcements arrived, the Silverbrook compound was ashes. Maya's chest tightened. And me? How did I end up with no memory in a hospital 2 states away? Your mother's sister, Vera. She was a powerful witch. She used forbidden magic to suppress your wolf, lock away your memories, hide your scent. It should have killed her, but she survived long enough to get you to safety. We found her body 3 days later, burned out from the inside by the spell's backlash. Tears burned Maya's eyes. They all died for me. They died so you could live, Kieran corrected gently. So the Silverbrook line wouldn't end. So someday, when you were strong enough, you could come home. This isn't my home, Maya said, even as something in her chest ached at the words. I don't remember this place. I don't remember these people. I'm a stranger here. Then we'll help you remember. A new voice spoke from behind them. Maya turned to find Gideon approaching, now dressed in clean clothes, his silver hair damp from a shower. Behind him came Rowan and Sky, plus 2 others Maya hadn't met. A lean, dark-haired man with watchful hazel eyes and a stocky woman with bright copper hair. The council is ready, Gideon said. And before you face them, you should know who you're dealing with. The Thornridge Council consists of 5 members, the dark-haired man said, his voice smooth and educated. Magistra leads as pack elder. I'm Cassius, the pack's legal advocate and historian. That's Quinn, he nodded to the copper-haired woman, our lead tracker and security chief. Gideon serves as strategic advisor, and Kieran, as pack alpha, holds final authority. Wait, Maya said. Kieran's the alpha? I thought. You thought what? That alphas had to be tyrants. Kieran's lips quirked. I lead because the pack chose me. Because they trust me to protect them. It's not about power, it's about responsibility. Sky snorted. It's also about being disgustingly good at everything. Kieran's annoyingly competent. The council's primary concern, Cassius continued, ignoring Sky, will be the threat you bring to pack territory. The Covenant will follow you here. They have to. You're too valuable to abandon. That puts every wolf in Thornridge at risk. So they want me to leave, Maya said flatly. Some will, Quinn said, her voice blunt. Others will want to keep you as a political asset. Others will see you as exactly what Kieran said. Hope. The council will be divided, which means you need to be smart about how you present yourself. I'm not good at pack politics, Maya admitted. I'm good at pouring drinks and avoiding trouble. You bound a Covenant wolf and threatened their entire organization, Rowan pointed out. I'd say you're better at confrontation than you think. That was different. I was angry. Good, Kieran said. Stay angry. The council respects strength. Show them you're not afraid, and you're halfway to winning them over. And the other half, prove you're worth the risk. An hour later, Maya stood in the council chamber, a circular room with high windows and 5 chairs arranged in a semicircle. The council members sat in their designated seats. Magistra in the center, Kieran to her right, Gideon to her left, with Cassius and Quinn flanking them. Maya stood alone in the center of the circle, feeling every eye in the room on her. Other pack members lined the walls, observing, judging. Maya Silverbrook, Magistra began formally. You stand before the Thornridge Council as a guest seeking sanctuary. Before we grant or deny this request, we have questions. I'll answer what I can, Maya said, proud that her voice didn't shake. Did you know of your heritage before last night? Cassius asked. No. I had no memory of my life before 18. Convenient, Quinn muttered. Is it? Maya met the tracker's eyes. Is it convenient to have holes in your mind where your family should be? To not know who you are or where you came from? To build a life on lies because that's all you have? Quinn's expression shifted slightly. Not quite sympathy, but understanding. The Covenant will come here, Gideon said. In force. Are you prepared to defend this pack if it comes to battle? I don't know how to fight. I barely know how to use my power. But I'm willing to learn. Maya took a breath. I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't ask to be a true alpha or to put anyone at risk. But I won't apologize for surviving. And I won't run anymore. If the Covenant wants me, they'll have to go through me first. Silence fell over the chamber. Then Kieran spoke. I call for a vote. All in favor of granting sanctuary to Maya Silverbrook, speak now. Aye, Magistra said immediately. Aye, Kieran added. Gideon hesitated, then nodded. Aye. Cassius and Quinn exchanged glances. Finally, Quinn sighed. Aye, but she trains with me. Every day. If she's going to bring war to our doorstep, she'd better be ready to fight. Agreed, Cassius said. Aye. Unanimous. Maya's knees nearly buckled with relief. Then it's settled, Magistra declared. Maya Silverbrook is under Thornridge protection. The pack stands with her. And if the Covenant has a problem with that, the older woman's eyes flashed gold. They can come try to take her. A howl rose from the pack members lining the room. Approval, acceptance, challenge. Others joined until the sound echoed through the lodge like thunder. Kieran crossed to Maya, his hand finding hers. Welcome home, Maya Silverbrook. This time, she didn't pull away. But even as relief flooded through her, Maya felt a prickle at the back of her neck. A warning. Through the high windows, she saw a raven watching from a nearby tree. Its eyes gleamed red. The Covenant was watching. Chapter 5, First Shift. Maya woke to the smell of pine and wood smoke, momentarily disoriented. Then memory crashed back. The council meeting, the vote, the acceptance into Thornridge Pack, and the training that was supposed to start today. She sat up in the unfamiliar bed, taking in her surroundings properly for the first time. The room was spacious but simple, wooden walls, a large window overlooking the forest, comfortable furniture that looked handmade. Someone had left clothes folded on a chair. Practical gear similar to what the other pack members wore. A knock at the door made her jump. You have 5 minutes, Quinn's voice called through the wood. Training starts at dawn, and we're burning daylight. Maya glanced at the window. The sun was barely peeking over the mountains. What time is dawn here? She called back. 4 minutes ago. Move it, Silverbrook. Maya scrambled into the clothes, sturdy pants, a tank top, and a jacket, and practically ran downstairs. Quinn waited by the back door, already dressed in workout gear, her copper hair pulled into a tight braid. You're late, Quinn said flatly. By 4 minutes. In a fight, 4 minutes is the difference between living and dying. Come on. Quinn led her outside and around the lodge to a cleared training area. Several other pack members were already there, running drills. Gideon supervised one group working on hand-to-hand combat. Rowan led another through what looked like an obstacle course. And in the center of it all stood Kieran, shirtless despite the morning chill, his muscled torso gleaming with sweat as he demolished a practice dummy with precise, devastating strikes. Maya's mouth went dry. She forced herself to look away. Focus, Quinn snapped, catching the direction of Maya's gaze. We're starting with basics. Show me your stance. My what? Quinn sighed. Fighting stance. How you'd position yourself if someone attacked you. Maya awkwardly put her fists up like she'd seen in movies. Terrible, Quinn pronounced. Feet wider. Weight balanced. Chin down. You're not boxing, you're surviving. She moved Maya's body into position with rough efficiency. Better. Now the first thing you need to understand about fighting as a wolf. It's not about strength. It's about instinct. I don't have wolf instincts. I've never shifted. Your wolf is in there. She's been sleeping, but she's waking up. Quinn circled her like a predator. The awakening you experienced, the moon binding, the light projection, that's just the surface. Your true power comes from the shift, from accepting your wolf and letting her merge with your human consciousness. How do I do that? Usually through extreme emotion or physical stress. Fear, rage, pain. Quinn's smile was sharp. Lucky for you, I'm an expert at providing all three. Defensive position. For the next hour, Quinn put Maya through grueling drills. Blocking, dodging, counterattacks. Maya took hit after hit, her body protesting with every bruise and scrape. You're holding back, Quinn said after knocking Maya down for the dozenth time. I can see it. You're afraid of your own strength. I don't want to hurt anyone, Maya panted, pushing herself up. That's your problem right there. In a real fight, hesitation kills you. Quinn offered a hand, pulling Maya to her feet. The wolf inside you doesn't hesitate. She knows when to strike, when to defend, when to run. You need to stop thinking like a human and start feeling like a wolf. I don't know how. Quinn's eyes flashed gold. Then maybe you need the right motivation. Kieran looked up from across the training ground. What? She needs a real opponent. Someone who'll push her past her limits. Understanding crossed Kieran's face. He approached slowly, and Maya's heart rate kicked up for reasons that had nothing to do with the training. "You sure about this?" he asked Quinn, not Maya. "She'll never shift if we keep coddling her. The Covenant won't coddle her. They'll go for the throat." Quinn stepped back. "Make her scared. Make her angry. Make her shift." Kieran's amber eyes locked onto Maya's. "I won't actually hurt you." "That's not very motivating," Maya tried to joke, but her voice shook. "I don't need to hurt you. I just need to hunt you." His voice dropped to a growl that resonated in Maya's bones. "Run." "What?" "Run, Maya. Or I'll catch you." Every instinct in her body screamed danger. Kieran's posture had changed, gone from protective to predatory in an instant. His eyes glowed. His muscles tensed. Maya ran. She crashed into the forest, branches whipping at her face. Behind her, she heard Kieran shift mid-pursuit. The crack of bones, the rip of remaining clothing, the heavy thud of paws hitting earth. A howl split the air. Closer than it should be. Maya's heart hammered. She vaulted over a fallen log, her body moving with a grace she didn't know she possessed. The forest blurred past. She could hear everything, birds scattering, small animals fleeing, and beneath it all, the steady rhythm of Kieran's pursuit. He was toying with her. She knew it. He could have caught her already. Maya skidded into a clearing and spun around. The massive black wolf emerged from the trees, amber eyes fixed on her. He was beautiful and terrifying, easily 400 pounds of muscle and fong. "This isn't fair," Maya said, backing up. "I can't shift. I don't know how." The wolf lowered into a crouch, ready to pounce, and something inside Maya snapped. "No," she snarled. Heat exploded through her body. Not the controlled moonlight from before, but something wild and primal. "I am not prey." Her bones began to crack. Pain ripped through her, white-hot and agonizing. She fell to her knees, gasping. "It hurts." The wolf, Kieran, stopped his advance, made a low, encouraging sound. Maya's spine arched. Her hands hit the ground, and she watched in shock as they began to change. Fingers elongating, nails sharpening into claws, silver-white fur sprouting along her arms. The pain intensified until she couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but scream. And then it was over. Maya stood on 4 legs, her senses exploding into hyperdrive. She could smell everything. The sap in the trees, the moss on the rocks, Kieran's distinct pine and leather scent. She could hear a stream a mile away, could see individual needles on the pine trees. She looked down at her paws, large, tipped with silver claws, covered in white fur. She'd shifted. A joyful howl burst from her throat before she could stop it. Kieran shifted back to human, grinning broadly despite his nakedness. "There she is. Your wolf." Maya tried to respond and managed only a yip. "How did you talk in this form?" "It takes practice," Kieran said, as if he'd heard her thought. "The mate bond. I can sense what you're feeling, even if you can't speak yet. Try to shift back now. Think of your human form. Visualize it." Maya focused, imagining her human body. The shift happened faster this time. Less painful, more like flowing water than breaking bones. When it was over, she was on her hands and knees in the clearing, completely naked. She yelped and tried to cover herself. Kieran had already turned his back, offering privacy. There are clothes stashed in most of the clearings around the territory. Behind that boulder to your left. Maya scrambled to find them. A simple dress that was several sizes too big, but better than nothing. When she was covered, Kieran turned back around, now wearing pants he'd apparently retrieved from somewhere. "That was incredible," he said, his voice warm with pride. "Your first shift, and you held the form for nearly 5 minutes. Most new wolves can barely manage one." "It hurt," Maya said, still shaking. "It always does the first time, but it gets easier. Eventually, the shift becomes second nature." He approached carefully, giving her space. "How do you feel?" Maya considered the question. Her body ached, but beneath that was something else, a completeness she'd never felt before. Like a missing piece had finally clicked into place. "Whole," she whispered. "For the first time in my life, I feel whole." Kieran's expression softened. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was gentle, intimate. "Your wolf is beautiful," he said quietly. "Silver white like moonlight. I've never seen that coloring before." "Is that bad?" "It's rare. Special." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "Like you." The air between them thickened. Maya's breath caught as Kieran leaned closer, his eyes dropping to her lips. A sharp whistle cut through the moment. Quinn stood at the edge of the clearing, arms crossed. Well, well, she actually did it. Color me impressed, Silverbrook. Kieran stepped back smoothly, the intimate moment broken. She's a natural. We'll see about that. Now that she's shifted once, the Real training begins. Quinn's smile was predatory. Hope you're ready for pain, newbie. Because we're just getting started. The rest of the day was a blur of exhaustion and minor victories. Maya shifted 3 more times, each easier than the last, though still draining. Quinn taught her basic wolf combat. How to use her claws, how to protect her throat, how to use her smaller size against larger opponents. By sunset, Maya could barely stand. That's enough for today, Kieran finally called, overruling Quinn's protest. She needs rest. The Covenant won't care if she's tired, Quinn argued. The Covenant isn't here yet. And when they come, I need her strong, not broken from overtraining. Kieran's tone left no room for argument. We're done. Quinn muttered something about alphas being soft, but backed off. Kieran guided Maya back toward the lodge, supporting her when she stumbled. You did well today. Better than well. I can barely walk. That means you pushed yourself. Tomorrow will be easier. They entered the lodge through the back entrance. Most of the pack was gathering for dinner, the main hall filled with laughter and conversation. The smell of roasting meat made Maya's stomach growl audibly. When's the last time you ate? Kieran asked. Maya tried to remember. Yesterday? Maybe. That explains why you look ready to collapse. He steered her toward the dining hall. Shifting burns enormous amounts of energy. You need to eat. A lot. The dining hall was warm and welcoming, with long tables where pack members ate family style. Heads turned as Kieran entered with Maya, conversations pausing. Then Magistra stood from her seat at the head table. Our newest pack member has completed her first shift. This calls for celebration. Cheers erupted. Someone started banging their fork against their plate in rhythm, and others joined until the whole hall thundered with the sound. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She'd never belonged anywhere. Never had people celebrate her achievements. Come, Magistra said, gesturing to an empty seat beside her. Sit. Eat. You've earned it. The next hours passed in a warm blur. Maya ate until she thought she'd burst. Roasted venison, fresh bread, vegetables from the pack's garden. Pack members introduced themselves. Families with children, elder wolves who'd known her parents, young adults who looked at her with cautious hope. Sky regaled everyone with an exaggerated version of the previous night's battle, making Maya sound far braver than she'd felt. Gideon discussed strategy for the coming conflict with Cassius. Rowan taught several pups how to arm wrestle properly. It felt like family. Maya was helping clear dishes when Kieran appeared at her elbow. Walk with me? They stepped out onto the lodge's wide porch. The night was clear, stars scattered across the sky like diamonds. The full moon hung heavy and bright, pulling at something in Maya's chest. Do you feel that? She asked, touching her sternum. The moon. It's like it's calling to me. That's the wolf. We're all connected to the lunar cycle, but true alphas feel it more intensely. Kieran leaned against the railing. In 3 nights, it'll be full. Your power will be at its peak. But so will your instincts, hunting, mating, territorial drives. It can be overwhelming for new wolves. Mating drives. Maya's cheeks heated. Kieran's lips quirked. The full moon intensifies all primal urges. Usually mated pairs will. He cleared his throat. Well, let's just say it's a popular time for new cubs to be conceived. Oh! They stood in awkward silence for a moment. Then Kieran said, about what I said earlier. The mate bond. I don't want you to feel pressured. Just because we're fated doesn't mean you owe me anything. You can reject the bond if you choose. What happens if I reject it? Nothing catastrophic. I'd feel the loss. It would hurt, but I'd survive. We both would. You'd be free to choose your own path. He turned to face her fully. I want you to know you have a choice, Maya. In everything. I'm not going to be one more thing forcing you down a path you didn't choose. The sincerity in his voice made her chest ache. And if I don't reject it? His eyes flashed gold. Then we'd complete the bond. Usually during the full moon. It's a ritual, a claiming that links our souls permanently. We'd be able to sense each other's emotions, share strength, communicate mentally. We'd be partners in every sense. That sounds intense. It is. Which is why I'm not asking you to decide tonight, or tomorrow, or even before the full moon. Take your time. Get to know me. Get to know yourself as a wolf. Then decide. Maya studied his face in the moonlight, The strong jaw, the scar through his eyebrow, the amber eyes that watched her with such careful hope. What if, she started then stopped. What if what? What if I'm not what you think I am? What if I can't be the true alpha everyone needs? Kieran reached out, his fingers gentle under her chin. You already are. You just don't see it yet. Before she could respond, a howl split the night, urgent and afraid. Kieran's entire body went rigid. That's the south perimeter. Something's wrong. They ran back inside, where pack members were already mobilizing. Gideon met them in the main hall, his face grim. Covenant scouts. At least a dozen, testing our borders. And Maya. He hesitated. They're carrying a white flag. They want to talk. It's a trap, Quinn said flatly. Probably, Gideon agreed. But if we refuse, we look weak. Like we're afraid to negotiate. Kieran's jaw clenched. What do they want to discuss? A runner arrived, breathless. They're asking for the true alpha. They say they have a message from their leader. And they're willing to exchange information for a meeting. What kind of information? Maya asked. The runner's eyes were haunted. Information about who really killed your parents. They say the Covenant wasn't responsible. They say it was someone inside the Allied packs. The room went silent. Maya's blood ran cold. They're lying. Maybe, Magistra said slowly. Or maybe they're telling the truth. Either way, we need to know. Kieran looked at Maya. It's your decision. You're the one they want to meet. Maya thought of her parents. Of the holes in her memory. Of 20 years of not knowing who she was, or where she came from. I'll meet with them, she said. But on our terms. Our territory. And with the full pack at my back. Kieran nodded slowly. Then we prepare. Because one way or another, this meeting changes everything. As the pack mobilized, Maya stared out the window at the forest beyond. Somewhere in those trees, the Covenant waited. And with them, possibly the truth about her past. Or a trap that would destroy everything. Chapter 6, The Covenant's Offer. The meeting was set for midnight at the Boundary Stones, ancient markers that separated Thornridge territory from neutral ground. Maya stood in the lodge's armory, watching Quinn help her into a lightweight vest made of reinforced leather. It's spelled, Quinn explained, tightening the straps. Won't stop a killing blow, but it'll slow down claws and fangs enough to give you a chance to react. Keep your arms free. You'll need mobility. Maya ran her hands over the vest. It felt both protective and terrifying, a physical reminder that this meeting could turn violent in seconds. Here, Sky appeared with a small vial of shimmering liquid. Moon water, blessed under the last 3 full moons. If things go sideways, drink it. It'll amplify your power temporarily, enough to let you escape or fight back. Temporarily, you'll crash hard afterward. Like sleep for 24 hours hard. So only use it as a last resort. Sky pressed the vial into Maya's hand. Tuck it somewhere safe. Maya slipped it into an inner pocket of the vest. Kieran entered the armory, followed by Gideon, Rowan, and Cassius. All were armed and armored, their expressions grim. The pack is in position, Kieran reported to Magistra, who stood overseeing the preparations. Archers in the trees, guards at every perimeter point, medical team on standby. If the Covenant tries anything, we'll be ready. They won't try a direct assault, Cassius said, adjusting the twin blades strapped to his back. Not yet. They're testing us, seeing how we respond to pressure. Or they're genuinely offering information, Gideon countered. We shouldn't assume treachery when it could be strategy. If someone inside the Allied packs really did betray Maya's parents, the Covenant might see an opportunity to drive a wedge between us and our allies. Magistra's expression was unreadable. Either way, we proceed with caution. Maya, you are not to engage with them alone. Kieran will be at your side, as will I. We'll hear what they have to say, assess the validity of their claims, and withdraw. No negotiations. No promises. What if their information is real? Maya asked. What if someone we trust really was involved in my parents' deaths? Then we deal with that traitor, Magistra said coldly. But we verify first. Trust nothing the Covenant says without proof. The walk to the Boundary Stones felt like marching to an execution. Maya moved through the dark forest surrounded by her guard. Kieran at her right, Magistra at her left, the others forming a protective diamond around her. Through the trees, she could sense other pack members keeping pace, invisible in the shadows. The whole pack had mobilized for this. For her. The weight of that responsibility sat heavy on her shoulders. Nervous? Kieran asked quietly. Terrified, Maya admitted. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. His hand found hers briefly, a warm squeeze of reassurance. Remember, you're not powerless. You're a true alpha. You outrank every wolf who'll be at that meeting, covenant or otherwise. They should be afraid of you. Maya wanted to believe that. But she'd been Maya Chun bartender for so long that becoming Maya Silverbrook, true alpha, felt like wearing someone else's skin. The boundary stones came into view. 7 massive pillars of granite arranged in a circle, each carved with ancient runes that glowed faintly in the moonlight. And standing in the center of the circle were 5 figures. The Covenant delegation. Maya's steps slowed. Kieran's hand touched her back, steadying her. I recognize the leader, Gideon murmured. Tobias Ashford. He was Pack Alpha before the Covenant recruited him. Ruthless but honorable, in his way. If he's offering a parley, he'll keep his word. The man in question was tall and lean, with iron-gray hair and eyes like chips of flint. He wore simple black clothing, no armor, no visible weapons. The 4 wolves with him were similarly dressed and unarmed, though Maya had no doubt they were all deadly. Tobias inclined his head as they approached. Magistra. Kieran. And you must be Maya Silverbrook. You have your mother's eyes. You knew my mother? Maya asked, hating how young she sounded. I fought alongside your father during the territorial wars. Marcus Silverbrook was the finest alpha I ever knew. His death was... Tobias paused. A tragedy. A tragedy you claim your people didn't cause, Magistra said sharply. Yet Covenant wolves were found at the scene. Covenant weapons were used. Covenant manifestos were left behind. Yes, all very convenient. Tobias's expression hardened. Too convenient. We were framed, Magistra. Used as scapegoats by the real killers. And who might that be? Kieran demanded. Tobias looked directly at Maya. Tell me, young alpha, what do you know about the Circle of 6? Maya glanced at Kieran, who looked equally confused. Nothing. I've never heard of them. Few have. They're a secret society within the allied packs. 6 alphas who believe the old bloodlines have too much power. They wanted to reshape pack politics, create a new order. But true alphas like your parents stood in their way. You're saying members of the allied packs, our supposed friends, murdered my parents? The heat was rising in Maya's chest, her wolf stirring. I'm saying that 20 years ago, during the winter solstice, 6 allied alphas met in secret. They hired mercenaries, both Covenant deserters and shadow witches. They planned the attack. They ensured it looked like a Covenant operation. And then they watched as pack turned against pack, as the Covenant was demonized and hunted, while they consolidated power in the chaos. This is absurd, Cassius said. Why would you come here with wild accusations and no proof? Tobias reached into his jacket slowly, carefully. He withdrew a slim folder and tossed it to the ground between them. Proof. Financial records showing payments from allied pack accounts to known mercenaries. Intercepted communications between the Circle of 6. And a confession from one of the mercenaries we captured. Gideon moved forward cautiously, retrieving the folder. He opened it, scanning the contents. His expression grew darker with each page. These accounts, if they're real... He looked up at Magistra. This implicates Alpha Corwin of the Riverstone Pack and Alpha Thea of Highwatch. Both are current members of the Allied Council. Shock rippled through the group. Those were packs Thornridge had allied with for generations. Trusted partners. They're forgeries, Kieran said, but his voice lacked conviction. Have them verified, Tobias said. I'll wait. But while you're investigating old allies, ask yourself, who benefited most from the Silverbrook massacre? Who stepped into the power vacuum? Who pushed hardest for laws restricting true alpha authority? Maya's mind reeled. If this was true, if members of the allied packs had betrayed her family, why tell us this now? Magistra demanded. What does the Covenant gain? Tobias's smile was thin. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The Circle of 6 has been hunting us for 20 years, using the Silverbrook massacre as justification. We're tired of running. And we believe Maya Silverbrook is the key to exposing them. How? Maya asked. You're the last true alpha. The Circle thought your line was extinct. Your existence threatens everything they've built. If you publicly challenge them, demand answers, call for an investigation, they'll have to respond. And when they do, they'll make mistakes. Reveal themselves. You want to use her as bait, Kieran growled, moving between Maya and Tobias. I want to give her the truth. What she does with it is her choice. Tobias looked past Kieran to Maya. But know this, The circle will come for you eventually. They can't let a true alpha live and risk the old bloodlines rising again. The only question is whether you'll be ready when they come, whether you'll know who your real enemies are. Maya stepped around Kieran, meeting Tobias's gaze directly. If what you're saying is true, if members of the allied pacts really did kill my parents, why should I trust you? The Covenant has attacked me twice since my awakening. Those were rogues, zealots who don't speak for the Covenant leadership. I've already executed the ones responsible for the attack on you. Tobias's voice was iron. The Covenant doesn't want you dead, Maya Silverbrook. We want what you want, justice for the past and a future where we're not hunted for questioning authority. The Covenant kills innocents, Magistra said coldly. Don't paint yourselves as noble rebels. And the allied pacts hide murderers in their ranks. No side is pure, Magistra. This is war. It's always been war. The only difference is whether you acknowledge it. Silence fell over the clearing. The moon hung overhead, watching. Finally, Maya spoke. I'll investigate your claims. If there's truth to them, I'll act. But if you're lying, if this is manipulation, then you can hunt me yourself, Tobias finished. Fair enough. But move quickly, young Alpha. The full moon is in 3 days. The Circle of Six will make their move then, when your power peaks and you're most vulnerable. They'll strike at Thornridge, hoping to eliminate you before you can threaten their control. How do you know this? Gideon demanded. Because we intercepted their communications. They're calling it Operation Moonfall. 3 days from now, they'll attack with everything they have, mercenaries, corrupted wolves, shadow magic. And they'll ensure it looks like the Covenant's doing. Again. Tobias turned to leave, his delegation following. 3 days, Maya Silverbrook. Decide who your real enemies are. And prepare for war. The Covenant wolves disappeared into the forest, leaving only shadows behind. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Magistra picked up the folder. We verify everything. Every document, every claim. Cassius, you have contacts in the Riverstone Pack. Reach out quietly. See if anyone's heard rumors about the Circle of Six. And if it's true? Quinn asked. If our allies really did betray the Silverbrooks? Then we have a difficult choice to make, Kieran said grimly. Maya stared at the boundary stones, her mind churning. 3 days. 3 days to uncover the truth, master her powers, and prepare for an attack that could destroy everything. I want to see the mercenary, she said suddenly. The one who confessed. If the Covenant has him, I want to hear his story directly. Tobias's voice echoed from the darkness. Come to the old mill at dawn. Alone. Bring 1 guard if you must. The mercenary will tell you everything. Then silence. It's obviously a trap, Quinn said. Maybe, Maya agreed. But I'm going anyway. Kieran grabbed her arm. Maya, I need to know. She met his eyes. I've spent my whole life with holes in my memory, not knowing who I am or where I came from. If there's even a chance this is real, that I can finally know the truth about my parents, I have to take it. Then I'm coming with you, Kieran said. As am I, Magistra added. No. Maya shook her head. Tobias said alone or with 1 guard. If I show up with an army, he'll disappear. And we'll never know if he was telling the truth. I don't like this, Gideon said. Neither do I, Maya admitted. But hiding behind walls won't keep me safe. The Circle of Six knows I'm here. The Covenant knows I'm here. Everyone is waiting for me to make a move. So I make one. On my terms. Kieran looked like he wanted to argue, but finally nodded. I'll go with you. As your guard. But we prepare weapons, defensive spells, backup plans. And, Magistra added, pack members will shadow you. Close enough to intervene if needed. Far enough not to spook the Covenant. Maya nodded. It was the best compromise she'd get. As they walked back to the lodge, Maya felt the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders like a mantle. This was what it meant to be a true alpha. Not just power, but responsibility. Decisions that could save or damn entire packs. She just hoped she was strong enough to bear it. Back at the lodge, sleep was impossible. Maya paced her room, the folder of documents spread across her desk. Financial records, communication logs, and at the bottom, a single photograph. 6 alphas standing together at what looked like a formal ceremony. Maya recognized none of them except one. A younger version of Alpha Corwin, his smile sharp and cold. Her parents' murderers. Possibly. A knock at her door. It's me, Kieran's voice. Maya opened it. He stood in the hallway, still fully dressed despite the late hour. Couldn't sleep either? she asked. Too much to think about. He gestured to her room. Can I come in? Maya stepped aside, and Kieran entered. His eyes went immediately to the documents. I've been reading them over and over, Maya said, looking for inconsistencies, trying to find proof they're fake. But Gideon's right. If these are forgeries, they're perfect ones, which means we have to consider they might be real. Kieran picked up the photograph. I met Corwin once. He seemed ordinary, ambitious but not murderous. Tobias said they wanted to reshape pack politics, create a new order. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. Maybe they thought they were doing the right thing, ending the power of true alphas, creating equality. By murdering a family? Kieran's voice was hard. There's no justification for that. No, there isn't. Maya looked up at him. But I understand the fear. I felt it myself. The weight of expectations, of power I didn't ask for. Maybe they saw my parents as tyrants and convinced themselves assassination was revolution. Kieran set down the photograph and turned to her. Maya, what happened to your parents wasn't revolution. It was murder. Don't let Tobias plant seeds of doubt about whether they deserved. I know they didn't deserve it, Maya interrupted. But I also know that power corrupts. That even good people can become monsters if they're not challenged. Maybe that's why true alphas are so rare now. Maybe we weren't meant to survive. Don't say that. Kieran crossed to her, his hands gripping her shoulders. You were meant to survive. You were meant to be here, right now, fighting for truth. Your parents died protecting you because they believed you were worth protecting, worth saving. Don't let their sacrifice be meaningless by doubting your worth. Tears burned Maya's eyes. I'm so afraid of failing them, of failing everyone. You won't. His voice was certain. I've seen you face impossible odds already. You're stronger than you know, Maya Silverbrook. The way he said her name, full of reverence and warmth, made Maya's breath catch. They were standing so close. His amber eyes were locked on hers. Kieran, she whispered. He leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. When she didn't, his lips met hers. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative. Then Maya's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, and the kiss deepened. Heat flooded through her, the mate bond igniting like wildfire. She could feel his emotions mixing with hers. Desire, yes, but also protectiveness, admiration, fear of losing her. It was overwhelming. Perfect. Terrifying. Kieran pulled back first, resting his forehead against hers. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Don't apologize, Maya said. I wanted it too. The full moon is in 3 days. Emotions are heightened. I don't want you to feel like I'm taking advantage. Maya kissed him again, cutting off his protest. When they broke apart, she smiled. I know what I'm doing, and I know what I want, even if the timing is terrible. Kieran laughed softly. The timing is definitely terrible. Then we'll deal with the terrible timing after we survive the next 3 days. Maya stepped back, trying to clear her head. We should rest. Dawn comes early. Kieran nodded, but lingered at the door. Maya, whatever we find at that mill tomorrow, whatever truth Tobias has to tell, you don't face it alone. You understand. I understand. After he left, Maya returned to the documents. But now she couldn't focus. Her lips still tingled. Her heart still raced. The mate bond was real, undeniable. And in 3 days, under the full moon, she'd have to decide whether to complete it. If they all survived that long. Chapter 7. The Mercenary's Truth. Dawn came cold and gray, mist clinging to the forest floor like ghostly fingers. Maya stood at the edge of Thornridge territory, dressed in practical clothing with her spelled vest beneath a dark jacket. The vial of moon water rested against her ribs, a constant reminder of the danger ahead. Kieran emerged from the tree line, armed with a short sword and several concealed blades. His expression was grim. The shadows are in position, he said quietly. Gideon, Quinn, and Rowan. They'll stay close but out of sight. If anything goes wrong. I know. Maya checked her own weapons. A silver dagger Quinn had given her, claiming it had been her mother's. The weight of it felt both foreign and right in her hand. They set off through the forest, following a barely there trail toward the old mill. Maya had seen it once from a distance, a crumbling stone structure beside a dried-up creek, abandoned decades ago. The perfect place for an ambush. Tell me about the mate bond, Maya said as they walked, needing the distraction. What happens during the full moon ritual? Kieran was quiet for a moment. It's different for every pair. But essentially, under the full moon's light, the mates exchange blood and vows. The bond solidifies, becomes permanent and unbreakable. After that, we'd be able to sense each other across any distance, share strength in battle, communicate without words. And the physical aspect. His lips quirked despite the tension. That's optional, though most mated pairs choose to consummate the bond. It strengthens the connection. Have you ever been close to completing a bond before? Maya asked, then immediately regretted it. Sorry, that's too personal. No, it's fine. And no, I haven't. I've had relationships, but never felt the mate pull until you. He glanced at her. The bond isn't just about attraction or compatibility. It's recognition. Two souls that fit together like puzzle pieces. When you walked into that bar, it was like something inside me woke up and said, there she is. Finally, Maya's chest tightened. I felt it too. I thought I was losing my mind. You were just finding the missing piece. They walked in companionable silence until the old mill came into view. The structure was exactly as Maya remembered, decrepit walls covered in moss, the great wheel rotted and still. But smoke rose from inside, indicating recent habitation. Someone's here, Kieran murmured, his hand going to his sword. They approached cautiously. The mill's door hung askew on rusted hinges. Kieran pushed it open, and they stepped into dim interior. A fire burned in what had once been the hearth. And huddled beside it, bound with silver chains, sat a man. He was middle-aged, scarred, with the hollow eyes of someone who'd seen too much violence. When he looked up at Maya, something flickered across his face. Recognition? Fear. Maya Silverbrook, he rasped. You have your mother's face. Tobias emerged from the shadows, along with two other Covenant wolves. This is Marcus Venn, former mercenary. He was one of the men hired to attack your family 20 years ago. Maya's hand tightened on her dagger. Every instinct screamed to plunge it into the mercenary's chest. Kieran's hand touched her back, steadying her. Why? Maya demanded, her voice shaking. Why did you kill them? Money, Marcus said bluntly. I was paid $50,000 to participate in the raid. Told it was a political removal. Taking out tyrants who'd abused their power. They said the Silverbrooks were oppressing their packs, executing dissenters. Made it sound like justice. Lies, Maya spat. I know that now. Marcus's voice was heavy with regret. When I saw your mother trying to shield you, a toddler barely old enough to walk, I realized we'd been lied to. But by then it was too late. The witches had already cast their spells. The house was burning. Your father was. He stopped, swallowing hard. Tell me, Maya said coldly. I want to know everything. Marcus met her eyes. Your father fought like a demon. Took down 6 of our number before the shadow magic overwhelmed him. Even then, he didn't beg, didn't plead. He just told your mother to run, to get you out. Tears burned Maya's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Your mother almost made it, Marcus continued. But the head witch, a woman named Seraphine, caught her at the tree line. Used fire magic. Your mother. He closed his eyes. She screamed for your aunt. Vera appeared out of nowhere, grabbed you, and vanished. Some kind of portal spell. The witches tried to follow, but Vera had blood-sealed the magic. Only someone with Silverbrook blood could track it. And my parents, dead before midnight. We burned the compound to hide the evidence. Planted Covenant manifestos and weapons. Then we scattered. Some of us fled the country. Others went underground. The ones who hired us paid us off and disappeared. The Circle of 6, Kieran said. Marcus nodded. I didn't know their names then. Just met with representatives who paid in cash and made threats if we ever talked. But 3 months ago, the Covenant found me. Offered me protection in exchange for my testimony. I've been hiding ever since. Why come forward now? Maya asked. Because they're planning another massacre. Marcus leaned forward, chains clinking. The same people who hired me 20 years ago are active again. They've recruited new mercenaries, new witches. They're calling it Operation Moonfall, and you're the target. They want you dead before you can expose them. Do you have proof? Kieran demanded. Names? Evidence. I have this. Marcus nodded toward a pack in the corner. Tobias retrieved it and pulled out a leather journal. I kept records. Every job, every payment, every contact. It's all in there, including the name of the person who hired me for the Silverbrook job. He paused, and dread pooled in Maya's stomach. Who? She whispered. Marcus looked at Kieran. Alpha Theron Blackwood, of the Thornridge Pack. The words hit like a physical blow. Maya staggered backward. That's impossible, Kieran said, his voice deadly quiet. Theron Blackwood was my predecessor. He died 15 years ago. He died 5 years after arranging the Silverbrook massacre, Marcus interrupted. And before he died, he passed leadership to you. Tell me, Alpha, did he ever seem guilty? Troubled? Did he ever mention the Silverbrooks? Kieran's face had gone ashen. He spoke of them with reverence. Said their deaths were a tragedy. He helped search for Maya, helped Vera hide her. To make sure she stayed lost, Tobias said quietly. To ensure the last true Alpha never awakened. Maya's knees buckled. Kieran caught her, but she could feel him shaking too. The pack I've been leading, Kieran said hoarsely. The people who took me in, trained me, made me Alpha. It was built on the murder of her family? Not the whole pack, Tobias said. Just Theron and whoever he conspired with in the Circle of Six. Most of your wolves knew nothing. But some must have known, Maya said, finding her voice. Some must have suspected. Probably. Fear keeps people silent, especially when powerful alphas are involved. Maya pulled away from Kieran, needing space. Her mind raced. Everything she'd been told, everyone she'd started to trust. It was all built on lies and blood. Why should I believe you? She demanded of Marcus. You're a confessed murderer. You could be lying to save your own skin. I could be, Marcus agreed. But ask yourself, why would the Covenant protect me for months, feed me, hide me, just to tell lies? What do they gain? Chaos, Kieran said. Division between Maya and Thornridge Pack. If she can't trust us, she has nowhere to go. She'd be vulnerable. Or, Tobias countered, we're telling the truth, and you're in denial because accepting it means facing uncomfortable realities about your own pack's history. Silence fell. The fire crackled. Finally, Maya spoke. The journal. Let me see it. Tobias handed it over. Maya opened it with trembling hands and began to read. The entries were clinical, detailing jobs spanning 2 decades. Payments received, targets eliminated, methods used. And there, dated 20 years ago, was the Silverbrook contract. Client, T.B. Thornridge. Payment, $50K, half up front. Target, Silverbrook family, emphasis on alpha pair. Collateral damage acceptable. No witnesses. Witches provided by client. Maya's vision blurred. She flipped forward, looking for more mentions of TB, found another entry from 15 years ago. TB contacted Loose ends. Paid $10K to eliminate 2 mercenaries who worked Silverbrook job. Refused, getting out of the business. TB threatened family. Went underground. He tried to kill you, Maya said to Marcus. To cover his tracks. Yes, that's when I started keeping detailed records. Insurance, in case he ever found me. Maya closed the journal and looked at Kieran. His expression was devastated. I didn't know, he said. I swear to you, Maya, I didn't know. But your pack benefited. Thornridge expanded into Silverbrook territory after my parents died. Your pack's influence grew. We thought it was just filling a power vacuum, preventing chaos. Kieran's voice broke. If I'd known, if I'd had any idea. What? You would have exposed your predecessor? Torn apart your pack's legacy. Maya's laugh was bitter. You were a child when it happened. There's nothing you could have done. I can do something now. Kieran straightened, his eyes blazing. I can stand with you. Help you expose the Circle of Six. Tear them down, no matter who it implicates. Even if it destroys Thornridge's reputation? Even then, truth matters more than reputation. Tobias watched the exchange with interest. A noble sentiment. But the Circle of Six won't go down easily. They've had 20 years to consolidate power, build alliances, bury evidence. Exposing them will require more than good intentions. What do you suggest? Maya asked. Use the full moon to your advantage. Call a grand council. All allied alphas, gathered under the moon's witness. Present your evidence. Challenge the Circle members publicly. Under pack law, they'll have to respond. And when they do, their lies will unravel. Or they'll kill her before she can testify, Kieran said flatly. Which is why she needs allies. Real allies. The Covenant can provide protection, resources, witnesses. Tobias met Maya's eyes. We're not asking you to join us. Just to consider that we're not your enemies. The Circle of Six is. Maya looked at the journal in her hands. At Marcus, chains glinting in the firelight. At Tobias and his Covenant wolves, offering an alliance that felt both desperate and dangerous. And at Kieran, whose world had just shattered, but who still stood ready to fight beside her. I need time, she said finally, to verify the journal entries, to investigate the circle, to decide who I can actually trust. You have 3 days, Tobias reminded her. After that, Operation Moonfall begins, and all the investigation in the world won't matter if you're dead. Then I'd better work fast. Maya turned to Kieran. We should go. The pack needs to know about this. They left the mill in tense silence, Marcus's confession echoing in Maya's mind. Behind them, Tobias called out. One more thing, Maya Silverbrook. The full moon ritual, completing your mate bond with Kieran. It would make you stronger. Strong enough to face what's coming. Don't let fear or doubt stop you from claiming what's yours. Maya didn't respond. But as they walked back through the forest, Kieran's presence steady beside her, she wondered if completing the bond was wisdom or weakness. If tying herself to him meant strength or vulnerability. If she could trust her heart when her whole world had been built on lies. They were halfway back to Thornridge when Quinn materialized from the shadows, her expression urgent. We have a problem, she said. While you were gone, a messenger arrived from the Allied Council. They're calling an emergency session. Tomorrow night. And they've specifically requested Maya's presence. What's the session about? Kieran asked. Quinn's jaw tightened. Formally, addressing the Covenant threat and coordinating pack defenses. But Gideon thinks it's a trap. He thinks the Circle of Six is making their move early. Maya's blood ran cold. Tomorrow night, 1 day before the full moon. When your power will be strong but not at its peak, Kieran said grimly. And when you'll be away from Thornridge's protection. It's the perfect time to strike, Quinn agreed. Maya looked at the journal still clutched in her hands. Then at Kieran. Then at the path ahead, leading back to a pack built on her family's murder. Then we don't wait for them to make the first move, she said. We go to that council session. We bring the evidence. We force the circle into the open. That's suicide, Quinn said bluntly. Maybe, but I'm tired of running. Tired of hiding. My parents died fighting. I won't dishonor them by cowering when I finally have a chance at justice. Kieran's hand found hers. Then we fight. Together. As they walked back to Thornridge, Maya felt the weight of destiny settling around her like armor. The war was coming, and she would be ready. Chapter 8. Council of Wolves. The Thornridge pack gathered in the Great Hall as news of the Allied Council summons spread. Maya stood before them, Marcus's journal laid open on the table, while Magistra addressed the assembled wolves. What we've learned today challenges everything we believed about our pack's history, the elder said, her voice carrying across the silent room. Alpha Theron Blackwood, who many of you remember with reverence, may have been complicit in the murder of the Silverbrook family. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, shock, disbelief, anger. That's a lie. An older wolf stood, his face flushed. Theron was honorable. He'd never. He kept a mercenary's journal entry detailing the contract, Cassius said, holding up the evidence. Payment records. Communications. Unless this is an elaborate forgery, the evidence is damning. Then it's a forgery, the older wolf insisted. The Covenant fabricated it to divide us. Why would they? Maya asked quietly, and the room fell silent. She stepped forward, feeling hundreds of eyes on her. What does the Covenant gain by implicating a dead alpha? Theron can't be punished. Can't be brought to justice. All this does is force Thornridge to confront an ugly truth. It makes us question our loyalty to you. Someone called from the back. If our previous alpha killed your family, why should we protect you now? Maya felt Kieran tense beside her, but she raised a hand, stopping him from intervening. You shouldn't, she said simply. I'm not asking for loyalty based on blood or history. I'm asking you to decide what kind of pack you want to be. Do you want to be the pack that buried the truth and benefited from murder? Or the pack that exposed corruption, no matter how painful? Pretty words, the older wolf said. But you're asking us to tear down our own legacy. To admit our former alpha was a monster. I'm asking you to choose truth over comfort, Maya replied. My parents died because people chose comfort. Chose to believe lies rather than face difficult realities. And for 20 years, their murderers have lived free, grown powerful, and prepared to kill again. She gestured to the journal. Operation Moonfall targets me, yes. But it also targets anyone who stands with me. Anyone who questions the Circle of Six authority. If we don't expose them now, they'll keep killing, keep consolidating power, until every true alpha bloodline is extinct and they control everything. Gideon stepped forward. The Allied Council session tomorrow is an opportunity. Maya can present this evidence before all the pack alphas. Demand accountability. Force the circle members to respond publicly. Or they'll kill her the moment she walks through the door, Quinn countered. We'd be sending her into a den of murderers. Then we go prepared, Kieran said. Full security detail. Witnesses. Make it impossible for them to act without exposing themselves. They've had 20 years to plan, Magistra said grimly. They won't be unprepared. But neither will we. I propose we send a delegation, Maya, Kieran, myself, and a guard of our strongest warriors. We present the evidence. We demand a formal investigation. And if they refuse or attack, we have witnesses to spread the truth. And what about Thornridge while we're gone? Someone asked. If the circle strikes here while our alpha and strongest fighters are away, we fortify, Rowan said. Wards, defenses, evacuation plans for the vulnerable. We prepare for siege. A young woman stood, cradling a toddler. My daughter is only 2. The same age Maya was when her parents were killed. I don't want her growing up in a world where powerful alphas can murder with impunity. I say we fight. Others began standing, voicing support. Not all. Maya could see wolves still hesitant, still doubting. But enough. More than enough. Magistra raised her hand for silence. Then it's decided. We attend the council session tomorrow. We present our evidence. And we demand justice. That evening, Maya stood in the armory while Quinn fitted her with ceremonial armor. Lightweight but elegant, marked with the Silverbrook sigil that had been hidden away for 20 years. You look like an alpha, Quinn said, adjusting the chest plate. Your mother wore this at official functions. Magistra kept it safe, hoping someday you'd return. Maya touched the crescent moon, and thorns emblazoned on the breastplate. Did you know her? My mother. I was young, but yes. She came to Thornridge once for a treaty negotiation. I remember thinking she was the most beautiful, terrifying person I'd ever seen. Quinn smiled faintly. She had your eyes. That same fire. Did she seem like someone worth killing? Quinn's hands stilled. She seemed like someone worth protecting, which is exactly what your father did. And your aunt. And everyone who's hidden you all these years. And now I'm walking into a room full of people who might want me dead. Yes, but you're not walking in alone. Quinn stepped back, examining her work. There. You look like a warrior queen. Now act like one. A knock at the door. Kieran entered, wearing formal alpha regalia. Black and silver, the Thornridge crest on his chest. He stopped when he saw Maya, something unreadable crossing his face. I'll give you 2 a moment, Quinn said, slipping out. Silence stretched between them. You look. Kieran started, then stopped. Like you were born to this. I feel like I'm playing dress-up, Maya admitted. Like any moment someone's going to realize I'm just a bartender pretending to be royalty. You're not pretending. This is who you've always been, you just didn't remember. He moved closer. Maya, about what we learned today. About Theron. You didn't know. You're not responsible for what he did. But I benefited from it. Built my leadership on foundations he laid. Kieran's voice was raw. Everything I am as alpha, he made possible. And he did it by murdering your family. Maya reached for his hand. Then be better than him. Use that position to expose the truth, protect the innocent, build something real. You can't change the past, Kieran. But you can choose what comes next. I choose you, he said quietly. Whatever that means. Whatever form that takes. I choose standing with you against this corruption. Even if it costs you everything? Especially then. He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. The mate bond isn't just about romance or desire. It's about partnership, having someone who'll stand in the fire with you. And I need you to know, whether you complete the bond tomorrow night or not, I'm with you. Always. Maya's throat tightened. The full moon is tomorrow, after the council session. I know. If we survive the council, if we expose the circle. She met his eyes. I want to complete the bond. I want you, Kieran. Not because of fate or destiny, but because I choose you. His eyes flared gold. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Kieran pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. Then we survive tomorrow. And tomorrow night, under the full moon, we become bonded mates. Partners in every sense. Partners, Maya echoed. I like the sound of that. They stood together in the quiet armory, holding each other while the weight of what was coming pressed down around them. Outside, the moon was waxing toward fullness, pulling at Maya's blood with increasing intensity. Her wolf stirred, restless and eager. Tomorrow would bring revelation or ruin. But tonight, she had this moment, this choice, this certainty. And for now, that was enough. The Allied Council Hall stood in neutral territory, a massive stone building that predated modern pact divisions. Maya arrived with her delegation as the sun set, painting the sky blood red. Other packs were already gathering. Maya recognized some from descriptions. The Riverstone wolves with their distinctive blue-gray fur, the Highwatch pack marked by their unusual amber eyes, smaller packs from across the territory. And there, standing in a cluster near the entrance, 6 alphas. Older, powerful, watching Maya's approach with cold calculation. The circle of 6, Gideon murmured. Alpha Corwin of Riverstone, Alpha Thea of Highwatch, Alpha Darius of Stonefall, Alpha Mira of Deepwood, Alpha Victor of Shadowpeak, and Alpha Helena of Iron Ridge. They're all here, Kieran said quietly. Bold of them. Or arrogant, Magistra replied. They don't believe we have real evidence. As Maya's group approached, the assembled alphas turned to stare. Conversations died. The weight of their collective attention was suffocating. Alpha Corwin stepped forward, a tall man with silver hair and a practiced smile. Maya Silverbrook, we thought you were dead. Clearly I'm not, Maya replied evenly. Clearly. And you've brought quite the entourage. His eyes swept over Kieran and the others. The council session isn't scheduled to start for another hour. Perhaps you'd like to wait inside. We'll wait here, Kieran said flatly. Corwin's smile didn't waver, but his eyes hardened. Suit yourself. Though I should warn you, the council has questions about your sudden reappearance. 20 years of silence, then a dramatic return accompanied by Covenant attacks and wild accusations. Some might think you're working with our enemies. Some might think you're deflecting, Maya shot back. Trying to discredit me before I can present evidence of your crimes. The temperature seemed to drop. Other alphas moved closer, forming a loose circle around Maya's group. Careful, child, Alpha Thea said, her voice like honey over poison. Accusing council members of crimes without proof is a serious offense. Good thing I have proof. Maya pulled out Marcus's journal, including testimony from one of the mercenaries hired to kill my parents. He named names. Yours among them. Thea's expression didn't change, but Maya saw her pupils dilate. Fear quickly masked. A mercenary's word means nothing, Alpha Darius rumbled. They'll say anything for the right price. Then you won't mind if we investigate his claims, Magistra said smoothly. Verify the financial records. Interview witnesses. Unless you have something to hide. The circle alphas exchanged glances. Maya could feel the calculation happening, deciding whether to maintain the pretense or act now. The decision was made when Alpha Victor raised his hand, and Maya felt magic crackle through the air. Now, Kieran shouted. Chaos erupted. The circle alphas shifted instantly, their wolves massive and battle-scarred. But they weren't alone. Mercenaries poured from the council hall, armed with silver weapons and spelled ammunition. It's an ambush, Quinn yelled, already shifting to meet the threat. Maya's guard formed a protective circle around her, but she could see they were outnumbered. 3-1. Maybe worse. This was Operation Moonfall. They'd moved it up a day, caught Maya away from Thornridge's full defenses. We need to retreat, Gideon called, deflecting a blade with his forearm. But retreat meant running, meant letting the circle escape accountability again. Maya felt her wolf surge forward, demanding release, demanding justice. No more running, she said. Silver light exploded from her body, the same moonlight she'd used before, but stronger, amplified by proximity to the full moon. It rippled outward in a shockwave, throwing mercenaries backward and forcing the circle wolves to stagger. Impossible, Alpha Corwin snarled, shifting back to human. You shouldn't have that much power yet. The full moon isn't until tomorrow. I'm a true alpha, Maya said, her voice echoing with otherworldly resonance. The moon answers to me, not the other way around. She raised her hands, and moonlight coalesced into those silver chains she'd summoned before. They shot forward, wrapping around Alpha Corwin and slamming him to the ground. The other circle members hesitated, clearly not expecting this level of power. But then Alpha Thea laughed, a cold, cruel sound. You're strong, girl, but you're untrained. And we've been preparing for this for 20 years. She pulled a vial from her belt and threw it at the ground. Dark smoke exploded upward, and from within it emerged figures Maya recognized from nightmares. Shadow walkers. Dozens of them, Fall back, Kieran commanded, grabbing Maya's arm. Now, but it was too late. The shadow walkers had surrounded them, cutting off escape. Maya's heart hammered. They were trapped, outnumbered, about to be slaughtered just like her parents. Unless, she thought of the vial Sky had given her. The moon water. Emergency power, but at a cost. Maya pulled it from her vest and met Kieran's eyes. Get everyone out. I'll hold them. Maya, no. Trust me. She pressed a kiss to his lips, quick, fierce. And be ready to catch me when I fall. Before he could stop her, Maya drank the moon water. Power exploded through her veins like liquid fire. The world sharpened into crystal clarity. She could feel every heartbeat, smell every fear, hear every whispered prayer. And the moon sang to her. Maya threw her head back and howled. Not with her human voice, not with her wolf's, with something older. Something primal. The sky answered. Moonlight lanced down from the heavens like pillars of silver fire, striking the shadow walkers and dissolving them into smoke. The mercenaries fled, their weapons useless against this level of power. Even the Circle Alphas retreated, their confidence shattered. Maya advanced on them, moonlight swirling around her like a living thing. You killed my parents. You tried to erase my bloodline. You've terrorized packs for 20 years, hiding behind lies and fear. Wait. Alpha Corwin tried to speak. I'm done waiting. Maya's voice was thunder. I am Maya Silverbrook, daughter of Marcus and Elena, last of my line. And I claim justice under the moon's law. The silver chains multiplied, wrapping around all 6 circle members, binding them in place. You wanted to know if I was worth fearing, Maya said. Now you know. Then the power hit its peak, crested and broke. Maya collapsed. The last thing she felt was Kieran's arms catching her, his voice calling her name. Then darkness. Chapter 9, Awakening. Maya woke to softness beneath her and the scent of pine and wood smoke. For a blissful moment, she forgot everything. The council, the battle, the crushing weight of power that had nearly torn her apart. Then memory crashed back, and she bolted upright with a gasp. Easy. Kieran's voice, warm and close. His hand touched her shoulder, steadying. You're safe. We're back at Thornridge. Maya looked around. She was in her room at the lodge, tucked beneath heavy blankets. Late afternoon light streamed through the window, golden and peaceful, at odds with the chaos she remembered. How long was I out? 18 hours. Sky warned us the moon water would drain you. Kieran sat on the edge of the bed, and Maya saw the exhaustion etched into his face. You scared the hell out of me. The circle of 6, bound and imprisoned. After you collapsed, the other packs who'd witnessed the battle rallied to our side. Turns out, seeing 6 supposedly honorable alphas try to murder a true alpha in cold blood is excellent motivation for switching allegiances. His smile was grim. Corwin and the others are being held in silver chains until a formal trial can be convened. And the Shadow Walkers? The mercenaries? Scattered. Some were killed in the fight. Others fled when they realized they were losing. Kieran's expression darkened. But Operation Moonfall wasn't just about killing you at the council hall. While we were gone, they hit Thornridge. Maya's blood turned to ice. No, we held them off. Barely. Rowan led the defense, and the wards you helped Sky reinforce held longer than expected. But we took casualties. 3 dead, a dozen injured, and the compound's north wing is destroyed. Guilt crashed over Maya. This is my fault. I brought this war to your doorstep. Stop. Kieran's voice was firm. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. This war started 20 years ago when they murdered your parents. You didn't bring it here. You exposed it. There's a difference. People died. People die in war. It's horrible and unfair, but it's not your fault. The Circle chose violence. They chose murder. All you did was refuse to be their victim. Maya's eyes burned with unshed tears. I used the moon water. I knew it would drain me, leave me vulnerable. What if they'd attacked again while I was unconscious? What if? They didn't. And you're awake now. Kieran brushed a tear from her cheek with his thumb. Maya, what you did at the council hall, calling down moonlight like that, binding all 6 circle members. Half the packs are calling it a miracle. The other half are calling it a warning. Either way, you've changed everything. How? You proved that true alphas aren't just myths. That the old bloodlines still have power. That there's an alternative to the corruption that's been festering in pack politics for decades. He smiled faintly. You terrified everyone, including me. I terrified you? In the best way. Because I realized I'm bonded to someone extraordinary. Someone who'll reshape the entire pack world if given the chance. His voice softened. Someone worth fighting for. Maya's breath caught. The full moon. It's tonight, isn't it? Yes. Rising in about 3 hours. Kieran stood, giving her space. But I understand if you want to delay the bonding ritual. You've been through hell. You need time to recover. No. Maya threw off the blankets and stood, ignoring her body's protest. I've had enough delays. Enough waiting. I want this, Kieran. I want you. I want us. His eyes flared gold. You're sure? The ritual is permanent. Irreversible. Once we're bonded. I know what it means. Maya crossed to him, taking his hands. I choose you. Not because fate decided for me, but because you've stood by me when you had every reason to walk away. You've challenged me, protected me, believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. So yes, I'm sure. Kieran pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. Then tonight, under the full moon, we complete the bond. We become mates in truth. A knock interrupted the moment. Sky poked her head in, grinning. Oh good, you're awake. And about to do something monumentally stupid and romantic. I approve. Privacy, Sky, Kieran said without heat. In a minute. First, Maya needs to eat. Shifting, fighting, and channeling enough power to bind 6 alphas burns serious calories. You're probably starving. Now that Sky mentioned it, Maya's stomach growled audibly. What time is it? 4 in the afternoon. The bonding ceremony traditionally happens at moonrise, which is at 7 tonight. That gives you 3 hours to eat, prepare, and try not to panic about making a permanent soul bond with tall, brooding, and annoyingly noble here. Sky jerked her thumb at Kieran. I'm not brooding, Kieran protested. You literally brood professionally. It's your whole thing. Sky turned back to Maya. Come on. Magistra's been cooking all day. Half the pack wants to celebrate your victory. Half wants to mourn the fallen, and everyone needs to eat. Pack dinner before the ceremony. The great hall was transformed. Long tables groaned under platters of food. Roasted meat, fresh bread, vegetables, fruits, desserts. But the atmosphere was bittersweet. 3 empty chairs sat at the head table, marked with candles for the fallen. Maya paused at the entrance, overwhelmed. Magistra approached, her expression solemn. They died defending their pack. Defending you. It's the highest honor a wolf can have. I don't feel honored. I feel sick. Good. That means you understand the weight of leadership. Magistra guided her toward the head table. A true alpha who doesn't mourn her fallen isn't worthy of the title. Your grief honors them. The pack members stood as Maya entered, a gesture of respect that made her throat tight. She saw families holding each other, warriors bearing fresh wounds, children watching with wide eyes. These were her people now, her responsibility. Maya took her seat between Kieran and Magistra. Rowan sat nearby, his arm in a sling but his smile warm. Gideon, Quinn, and Cassius filled out the council seats, all bearing marks of battle. Before we eat, Magistra announced, her voice carrying, we honor the fallen. Thomas Greystone, who held the north gate until reinforcements arrived. Sarah Moonwhisper, who shielded 3 pups with her own body. And Marcus Ironheart, who died ensuring the wounded made it to safety. The pack howled, a long, mournful sound that raised every hair on Maya's body. She joined in instinctively, her voice blending with theirs in shared grief. When the howl faded, Magistra continued. They died as warriors. They'll be remembered as heroes. And tonight, under the full moon, we'll scatter their ashes in the sacred grove where all Thornridge wolves return to the earth. Silence. Then someone began to drum, a slow, steady rhythm. Others joined until the hall thundered with the sound. Gradually, the mood shifted. From mourning to celebration. From grief to determination. Food was passed. Stories were shared. Children laughed. Warriors boasted about the battle, each version more exaggerated than the last. Maya ate mechanically, her mind on what was coming. The bonding ritual. The permanent connection to Kieran. Nervous? He asked quietly. Terrified, she admitted. Me too. That surprised her. Really? You've been so calm about all this. On the outside. Inside, I'm panicking. What if I'm not what you need? What if the bond changes us in ways we can't predict? What if? Maya kissed him, cutting off the spiral of worry. When they broke apart, she smiled. Then we figure it out together. That's what mates do, right? Right. He squeezed her hand under the table. Together. As the meal wound down, Sky appeared with a bundle of white cloth. Time to get ready. The ceremony's in an hour. Maya followed her to a private room where several pack women waited, including Quinn, who looked distinctly uncomfortable in ceremonial robes. I'm supposed to help dress you, Quinn said flatly. This is not my area of expertise. You're doing fine, Sky said cheerfully, unwrapping the bundle to reveal a stunning white dress. This was your mother's bonding gown. Magistra preserved it. Maya touched the fabric, soft as water, embroidered with silver thread in patterns of moons and wolves. It's beautiful. It'll fit perfectly. True alpha bloodlines run true. You're built exactly like your mother. Sky helped Maya into the dress while Quinn handled the complicated lacings. Another woman, one of the pack elders, approached with a silver circlet. This too was your mother's. The Silverbrook crown worn during sacred ceremonies. As they placed it on her head, Maya caught her reflection in a mirror and gasped. She looked like the woman in the portrait. Like her mother. Like an alpha. One more thing. Quinn pulled out a small vial of shimmering oil. Ceremonial anointing. It's tradition. She marked Maya's forehead, throat, and wrists with the oil, murmuring words in a language Maya didn't recognize but somehow understood. May the moon bless this union. May the pack witness this bond. May love endure beyond death. There. Sky stepped back, eyes bright. You look like a moon goddess. A knock at the door. Magistra entered, now wearing ceremonial robes of her own. It's time. The moon is rising. Maya's heart hammered. Where's Kieran? Already in the sacred grove with the council. He's waiting for you. Magistra offered her arm. Shall we? They walked through the lodge and out into the night. The moon hung huge and silver on the horizon, not quite full but close enough to make Maya's wolf stir with anticipation. A path lit with luminescent stones led into the forest. Pack members lined it on both sides, holding candles, their faces solemn and joyful. As Maya walked between them, they began to hum, a low, resonant sound that built and swelled until it felt like the earth itself was singing. The sacred grove appeared ahead, a circular clearing ringed by ancient trees. In its center stood a stone altar carved with pack symbols going back centuries. And beside it stood Kieran. He wore formal alpha regalia, black leather and silver, the thorn-ridge crest on his chest. But it was his expression that made Maya's breath catch. Awe, love, nervous hope all tangled together. Magistra guided Maya to stand opposite him. The pack council formed a circle around them, with the rest of the pack creating an outer ring. The moon cleared the treetops, bathing everything in silver light. We gather tonight, Magistra intoned, to witness the bonding of mates. Maya Silverbrook, true alpha of the Silverbrook line. Kieran Thorne, alpha of the Thornridge pack. Do you both come here of your own free will, uncorrupted by magic or coercion? I do, Maya said. I do, Kieran echoed. Then speak your vows. Let the moon and pack witness your truth. Kieran took Maya's hands, his grip warm and steady. I vow to stand beside you in battle and peace. To honor your strength and shelter your vulnerabilities. To be your partner, your friend, your mate. I choose you, Maya Silverbrook. Today and every day until my last breath. Tears pricked Maya's eyes. I vow to trust you with my heart and my wolf. To face whatever comes with you at my side. To build something new from the ashes of the past. I choose you, Kieran Thorne. Not because fate decreed it, but because my soul recognizes yours. Magistra produced a ceremonial blade. Silver, ancient, marked with runes. Blood calls to blood. Bond calls to bond. Maya Silverbrook, do you accept Kieran Thorne as your mate? I do. Kieran Thorne, do you accept Maya Silverbrook as your mate? I do. Then seal the bond in blood and moonlight. Kieran took the blade first, cutting his palm. Then Maya did the same. They pressed their bleeding hands together, and power exploded through the connection. Maya gasped as she felt Kieran's emotions flood into her. Love, fierce and overwhelming, mixed with protectiveness and pride and bone-deep certainty. And beneath it all, his wolf recognizing hers. Two halves of a whole finally joining. The moonlight intensified, pouring down like liquid silver. It wrapped around their joined hands, sealing the bond in light and magic. When it faded, Maya could feel Kieran in her mind. Not his thoughts, those remained private, but his presence, his emotions, his absolute commitment. We're bonded, his voice whispered in her mind. Truly bonded. Forever, she whispered back. The pack erupted in howls of celebration. Kieran pulled Maya close and kissed her as the moon blazed overhead and the forest sang. And for the first time since her awakening, Maya felt complete. Whole. Home. Chapter 10. Threads of Silver. The celebration lasted well past midnight. Maya and Kieran were swept up in dancing, feasting, and the joyful chaos of a pack bonding ceremony. But as the revelry continued, Maya felt the pull of something deeper. The bond settling into place, reshaping her awareness. She could feel Kieran across the grove even when she couldn't see him. Could sense his contentment mixed with an undercurrent of protective vigilance. And beneath it all, his wolf satisfaction at finally claiming its mate. This is strange, she thought, testing the mental connection. Strange good or strange bad? Kieran's voice came back, warm with amusement. Strange, intimate. Like you're part of me now. We are part of each other. That's what the bond means. A shiver ran through her that had nothing to do with cold. As the moon climbed higher, Magistra approached with a knowing smile. Traditionally, newly bonded mates retire early from the celebration. No one will think less of you for wanting privacy. Maya's cheeks heated, but she nodded. Kieran appeared at her side as if summoned, which, given the bond, he probably had been. Walk with me, he asked. They slipped away from the grove, following a moonlit path deeper into the forest. The sounds of celebration faded behind them until only night sounds remained. Crickets, wind through leaves, the distant call of an owl. Where are we going? Maya asked. You'll see. They emerged into a smaller clearing she'd never seen before. A natural hot spring steamed in its center, surrounded by smooth stones and flowering plants that glowed faintly in the moonlight. The Alpha's Spring, Kieran explained, reserved for pack leaders and their mates. It's private. Understanding dawned. Maya's heart rate kicked up. Oh, we don't have to. I mean, if you'd rather wait. Kieran ran a hand through his hair, suddenly nervous. The bond is complete. Everything else is just us. Our choice. Maya looked at him. This man who'd fought beside her, believed in her, chosen her, who was now bound to her soul. I don't want to wait, she said softly. She reached for the laces of her ceremonial gown. Kieran's breath caught, but he didn't move. Just watched with those amber eyes as she slowly undressed, letting the white fabric pool at her feet. The moonlight painted her skin silver. She felt powerful and vulnerable all at once. Then Kieran was moving, shedding his own clothes with efficient grace. When he stood before her, Maya's breath caught at the sight of him, all muscle and scars and barely restrained power. He stepped into the spring, then extended his hand. Join me. Maya took it, letting him guide her into the warm water. It embraced her like silk, easing tensions she hadn't realized she was carrying. Kieran pulled her close, and the feel of skin against skin sent electricity through the bond. She could feel his desire mirroring hers, building and feeding back in an endless loop. Maya, he breathed against her ear. Tell me what you want. You, she said simply. All of you. What followed was tender and fierce, careful and wild. The bond amplified every sensation, every emotion, until Maya couldn't tell where she ended and Kieran began. When they finally surfaced, breathless and entangled, the moon had moved across the sky. Maya rested her head on Kieran's chest, listening to his heartbeat slow. That was, she started. Beyond words, he finished, pressing a kiss to her hair. They stayed in the spring until the water began to cool, then dressed and walked back toward the lodge hand in hand. The celebration had wound down. Pack members were cleaning up, children being carried to bed, couples drifting toward their own homes. It felt peaceful, normal, like maybe, just maybe, the worst was behind them. Then Gideon appeared, his expression grim. We have a problem. In the council chamber, the remaining council members had gathered along with several pack scouts. Maps were spread across the table, marked with red symbols. What's happened? Kieran demanded. The Circle of Six escaped, Cassius said flatly. 2 hours ago. Someone used dark magic to dissolve their silver chains. By the time the guards realized, they were gone. Maya's stomach dropped. How is that possible? We had them under constant watch. They had help. Inside help. Quinn pointed to a map marked with the holding facility. Someone disabled the wards from within. Someone with authorized access. A traitor, Magistra said coldly. In our own ranks. Silence fell as the implication sank in. The Circle of Six had corrupted someone in Thornridge itself. Do we know who? Maya asked. Not yet, but we're investigating. Gideon's jaw was tight. The problem is, once they escaped, they didn't run. They regrouped. And according to our scouts, they're gathering forces for a final assault. He unrolled another map, this one showing troop movements. They've called in favors from every allied pack still loyal to them. Mercenaries, shadow-touched wolves, even some rogue vampires from the Eastern Territories. They're building an army, and it's pointed straight at Thornridge. When? Kieran asked. 3 days. Maybe less. Rowan leaned forward. They want to crush us before word of their crimes can spread. Before other packs have time to rally to Maya's side. How many are we facing? Maya's voice was steady despite her racing heart. Best estimate? 500 fighters. Maybe more. Cassius's expression was bleak. We have 200, counting every wolf capable of holding a weapon. Even with the defensive advantages of our territory, those odds are. Suicide, Quinn finished. They'll overrun us. Then we evacuate, Magister said. The children, the elderly, anyone who can't fight. We get them out of the territory and abandon Thornridge? Kieran's voice was sharp. This is our home. Our land. We don't surrender it to murderers and traitors. We don't have a choice, Gideon said quietly. Not unless we can even the odds somehow. Maya stared at the map, her mind racing. 500 against 200. Impossible odds. Unless. The Covenant, she said suddenly. Tobias offered an alliance. Said the Covenant wanted the Circle of Six exposed just as much as we did. You want to ally with the people who've been hunting us for 20 years? Quinn's voice was incredulous. I want to survive. And if that means working with former enemies against a greater threat. Maya looked around the table. The Circle of Six won't stop with Thornridge. If they crush us, they'll hunt down every pack that witnessed their crimes at the council hall. Every wolf who might testify against them. They're desperate and dangerous. The enemy of my enemy, Magister murmured. It's a risk. Everything is a risk right now, Maya countered. But Tobias kept his word about the mercenary. About the evidence. Maybe he'll keep his word about this too. Kieran was silent, his emotions churning through the bond. Conflict, fear, reluctant agreement. Finally, he nodded. We contact the Covenant. Offer a temporary alliance against the Circle. If they accept, we fight together. If they refuse, he met Maya's eyes. We fight anyway. Because this is our home, and we don't give it up without a war. The council members exchanged glances, then one by one nodded their agreement. I'll send a runner to Tobias, Gideon said. But even if the Covenant agrees, it'll take time to mobilize their forces. We need to buy ourselves that time. Hit and run tactics, Quinn suggested. Harass their supply lines. Slow their advance. Make them pay for every mile. And fortify the lodge, Rowan added. Turn it into a fortress. If we're making a stand, we make it here where we have the advantage. Maya listened as they planned, feeling the weight of leadership settling heavier on her shoulders. These wolves were following her lead, trusting her decisions, willing to die for her cause. She couldn't let them down. You won't, Kieran's voice whispered in her mind. We're in this together. Remember? Together, she echoed. As the meeting broke up and wolves scattered to their assigned tasks, Kieran pulled Maya aside. There's one more option we haven't discussed, he said quietly. Your power. What you did at the council hall, calling down moonlight, binding 6 alphas. You could do that again. Turn the tide of battle single-handedly. At what cost? I barely survived using the moon water once. If I try to channel that much power again without it, you might not survive at all, Kieran finished grimly. Which is why it's a last resort. Only if everything else fails. Maya nodded, but they both knew the truth. If 500 enemy wolves descended on Thornridge, everything else would fail. She would have to become the weapon. The question was whether she'd survive it. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. The lodge was transformed into a fortress. Windows barricaded, walls reinforced with spelled barriers, weapons distributed to everyone old enough to hold them. Children and those too weak to fight were evacuated to a secret location in the deep mountains. Maya said goodbye to families, promising to keep their homes safe, knowing she might not be able to keep that promise. Tobias sent word on the second day. The Covenant would honor the alliance. 200 of their best fighters were already en route to Thornridge. 400 total, Gideon calculated. Still outnumbered, but not hopelessly. On the third morning, scouts reported the Circle's army was 12 hours out. Moving fast. intent on crushing Thornridge before sunset. Maya stood on the lodge's roof with Kieran, watching the forest. Somewhere out there, 500 wolves wanted her dead, wanted to erase the last true alpha and continue their corrupt rule. She wouldn't let them. Whatever happens today, Maya said, not looking at Kieran, I want you to know. Don't. His hand found hers. Don't say goodbye. We survive this. Together. Through the bond, she felt his absolute certainty. His refusal to consider any outcome where they didn't both walk away. Maya squeezed his hand. Together. A howl rose from the forest, the signal. The enemy was in sight. It's time, Kieran said. They descended from the roof to find the pack assembled in the great hall. 200 Thornridge wolves on one side, 200 Covenant wolves on the other. Old enemies, now allies. Tobias stood with his people, nodded to Maya in acknowledgement. Maya stepped forward, feeling every eye on her. In a few hours, the Circle of Six will attack with everything they have. They want to destroy us, erase us, prove that the old ways are dead. She drew her mother's silver dagger. They're wrong. We stand here, Thornridge and Covenant, former enemies now united. And we prove that truth is stronger than lies. That justice matters more than power. That some things are worth fighting for. She raised the blade. Today we make our stand. Today, we show them what happens when wolves unite against tyranny. Today we fight not just for Thornridge, but for every pack the Circle has oppressed. Every wolf they've silenced. Every bloodline they've tried to erase. Her voice rose to a shout. Today we fight for the future. The answering howl shook the rafters. 400 voices raised in defiant harmony. As the wolves poured out to take their positions, Maya caught Tobias's eye. He inclined his head in respect. For what it's worth, he said, your parents would be proud. Then he was gone, leading his people to the southern perimeter. Maya turned to find Kieran waiting, already partially shifted, claws extended, eyes glowing gold. Ready, he asked. Maya felt her own wolf rising, eager and fierce. Let's end this. They shifted together, two wolves running side by side toward the coming storm. Chapter 11. The Battle of Thornridge. The first wave hit just before sunset. Maya stood on the reinforced walls surrounding the lodge, watching as the forest exploded with movement. Hundreds of wolves poured from the tree line, a tide of fur and fangs that seemed endless. At their head ran 6 massive wolves, larger and darker than the rest. The Circle of Six, leading their army to war. Hold the line. Kieran's voice boomed across the defenses. Let them come to us. The enemy wolves crashed against the outer barriers, spelled walls of stone, and wood that Quinn's team had erected. For a moment they held. Then Alpha Corwin, in his massive gray wolf form, slammed into the barrier with concentrated force. The wall cracked, spelled energy dissipating like smoke. Archers, Rowan commanded. A volley of arrows whistled through the air, silver-tipped, blessed with moon water. They found their marks, and enemy wolves fell screaming. But more kept coming. Maya shifted fully, her white wolf form gleaming like moonlight. Through the bond, she felt Kieran beside her, steady, focused, deadly calm. North wall is breached, Gideon's voice came through the pack link. They're flooding through. Covenant forces reinforce north, Tobias commanded. Thornridge, hold the east perimeter. The battle dissolved into chaos. Maya leaped from the wall, landing among a cluster of enemy wolves. Her claws found throats, her fangs tore flesh. The silver light that lived in her bones flared with each strike, burning the shadow corruption that tainted many of the enemy fighters. A massive brown wolf, one of the Circle's mercenaries, lunged at her flank. Maya spun, but she was too slow. Kieran intercepted, his black wolf form slamming into the attacker and bearing it to the ground. His jaws closed around its throat, and the enemy went limp. Behind you, Maya sent through their bond. Kieran whirled just as 3 wolves attacked in coordination. But Maya was already moving, moonlight erupting from her in a protective barrier that threw them back. They fought as one, covering each other's weaknesses, amplifying each other's strengths. The mate bond made them devastating. But it wasn't enough. Maya could see the battle turning. The enemy's superior numbers were overwhelming the defenses. Wolves were falling, Thornridge and Covenant alike. The lodge itself was burning in places, smoke rising into the darkening sky. We're losing. Quinn's voice was grim over the pack link. We need to fall back to the inner keep. If we retreat, they'll slaughter the wounded, Rowan countered. Maya made a decision. Everyone fall back, she commanded, her true alpha voice resonating through every wolf present, ally and enemy alike. The sheer force of it made some of the attacking wolves hesitate. I'll hold them. Maya, no, Kieran started. Trust me. Get everyone behind the inner walls. I'll buy you time. She could feel his terror through the bond, his desperate need to refuse. But she also felt his understanding. This was the only way. 2 minutes, he finally sent. Then I'm coming back for you. The Thornridge and Covenant forces began a fighting retreat, pulling back toward the Lodge's reinforced inner keep. The enemy surged forward, sensing victory. Maya stood alone in the courtyard, a single white wolf facing an army. Alpha Corwin shifted to human form, his smile cruel. Brave. Foolish. Just like your father. The other circle members joined him, all shifting to human. They wanted her to see their faces as they killed her. You could have had everything, Alpha Thea said. Power, influence, a place in the new order. Instead, you chose to die for nothing. Not nothing, Maya said, shifting as well. She stood naked and unafraid, moonlight beginning to gather around her like a living thing. I chose truth, justice, honor, things you've forgotten. Pretty words from a dead woman, Alpha Darius rumbled. Maya looked up at the sky. The full moon was rising, massive and silver, its light flooding the battlefield. And she opened herself to it completely. Power rushed in. Not the controlled channeling from before, not even the amplified surge from the moon water. This was raw, primal, the full weight of what it meant to be a true alpha during the height of the lunar cycle. Maya's body began to glow, silver light blazing from her skin. Her eyes turned pure white. When she spoke, her voice echoed with otherworldly resonance. I am Maya Silverbrook, daughter of Marcus and Elena, last of my line. I am the moon's chosen, the alpha of alphas, the bridge between old world and new. She raised her hands, and moonlight lanced down from the sky like divine pillars. And I say, enough. The power exploded outward in a shockwave that knocked every enemy wolf to the ground. Maya advanced, and where she walked, silver flames erupted. Not burning flesh, but consuming the shadow corruption that tainted so many of the circle's forces. The corrupted wolves screamed as darkness was purged from their bodies. Some collapsed unconscious. Others fled, their connection to the circle's dark magic severed. The Circle of Six tried to rally their remaining forces, but Maya was relentless. She moved through them like a force of nature, her power absolute under the full moon's gaze. Alpha Corwin shifted desperately, lunging at her with claws extended. Maya caught him mid-leap, silver chains materializing to bind him. She threw him aside like a doll. Alpha Thea tried to cast a spell, but Maya's moonlight consumed the dark magic before it could form. One by one, the circle members fell, bound, broken, defeated. But the power was consuming Maya too. She could feel it burning through her, too much for one body to contain. Her vision was starting to blur. Her legs trembled. Maya, stop. Kieran's voice in her mind, desperate. You're dying. She knew he was right. The power was tearing her apart from the inside. But the army was broken. The circle was defeated. Her people were safe. It was enough. Maya released the power all at once, letting it surge back into the moon where it belonged. The last thing she saw was Kieran running toward her, his human form silhouetted against the silver sky. Then darkness claimed her, and she fell. Maya woke to voices, worried, urgent. Too much power her body can't handle. Losing her, we're losing her. Won't let her die, I won't. That last voice was Kieran's, ragged with grief and fury. Maya tried to open her eyes, but her body wouldn't respond. She felt disconnected, floating in darkness. Am I dying? She wondered. Not if I have anything to say about it, came an unfamiliar voice. Ancient, powerful, feminine. Light bloomed in the darkness, and a figure appeared. A woman with Maya's features but older, wearing robes marked with the Silverbrook crest. Mother, Maya whispered. In a sense, I'm an echo, a memory left in the bloodline. All true alphas carry their ancestors within them. The woman smiled. You've done well, daughter. Better than we dared hope. I'm dying. You're transforming. The power you channeled. That's not something a body survives unchanged. You're becoming something new. Something more. Fear spiked through Maya. What if I don't want to change? What if I just want to be normal? You were never meant for normal. But you get to choose what extraordinary looks like. Her mother's echo touched Maya's face. Live, my daughter. Live and build the world we died trying to protect. But live as yourself. not just as a weapon or a symbol. Find joy. Find love. Find purpose beyond revenge and duty. The echo began to fade. Wait, I have so many questions. And you'll find the answers. In time. In your own way. The woman's smile was warm. We're so proud of you, Maya. Your father and I. We're so proud. Then she was gone, and Maya was alone in the darkness. But this time she wasn't afraid. She could feel Kieran through the bond. His love, his fear, his absolute refusal to let her go. Could feel the pack surrounding her, lending their strength. Could feel the moon above, patient and eternal. I'm not ready to die, Maya thought. There's too much left to do. Then come back to me, Kieran's voice whispered. Come back to us. Maya reached for that connection, for the bond, for the pack, for life itself, and pulled herself back from the edge. Her eyes opened to firelight and familiar faces. She was in her room at the lodge, wrapped in blankets, Kieran sitting beside her bed holding her hand. Hey, she rasped. His head snapped up, eyes wide. Maya. Oh, thank the moon his voice broke. How long? 2 days. You've been unconscious for 2 days. Sky said your body was shutting down, that the power had burned through too much. He stopped, swallowing hard. I thought I'd lost you. Can't get rid of me that easily. Maya tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Everything hurt. Easy. Kieran helped her recline against pillows. You need rest. Your body is still healing. The battle, we won. Completely. Between you breaking their army and us mopping up the survivors, the circle of 6 is finished. Corwin and the others are imprisoned. Properly this time, with wards that can't be broken. The wolves they'd corrupted are recovering. And the allied packs. He smiled slightly. They're calling you the moon's champion. The true alpha who united former enemies and defeated corruption. I just did what had to be done. You saved us all. At great cost to yourself. Kieran's hand tightened on hers. Maya, when you collapsed, when I felt you dying through the bond, I've never been so terrified. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for surviving. Just promise me you won't sacrifice yourself like that again. Promise we'll find another way. Maya met his eyes. I promise to try. But I can't promise there won't be times when. I know. He pressed his forehead to hers. I know. You're an alpha. A true alpha. Protecting others is who you are. I just need you to remember. You're worth protecting too. A knock at the door. Magistra entered, followed by Sky and Gideon. She's awake, Magistra said, relief evident in her voice. Thank the moon. How are you feeling? Sky asked, immediately moving to check Maya's vitals with a healer's practiced efficiency. Like I got trampled by an army of wolves. Oh wait, Sky laughed. Sense of humor intact. That's a good sign. Gideon stepped forward, his expression serious. When you're recovered, the Allied Council wants to meet. Officially. They want to hear your testimony about the Circle of 6, establish you as a recognized true alpha, and discuss the future of pack governance. In other words, politics, Maya said. In other words, change. Real change. What you did, uniting Thornridge and the Covenant, defeating the Circle. It's shown other packs that the old corruption can be challenged. That true alphas aren't just myths. You've started something, Maya. Something important. Maya looked at the faces surrounding her. Her mate, her council, her pack. She'd come to Thornridge as a lost bartender with no memory, no family, no purpose. Now she was an alpha. A leader. A symbol of hope for wolves across the territories. It was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. Then I guess we'd better make it count, she said. Kieran squeezed her hand, his love and pride flowing through the bond. And Maya Silverbrook smiled, ready to face whatever came next. Chapter 12. Trials and Alliances. The Allied Council convened in neutral territory 2 weeks after the Battle of Thornridge. Maya stood before the assembled alphas, representatives from 23 packs, all watching her with varying degrees of curiosity, skepticism, and respect. The great council hall was packed. This wasn't just a formal inquiry. It was theater. Every pack wanted to witness the true alpha who defeated the Circle of 6. Kieran stood at her right, Magistra at her left. Behind them, the Thornridge Council formed a protective half-circle. And in the back of the room, standing separate from the other packs, were Tobias and his Covenant delegation. The presiding elder, Alpha Counselor Meredith, a silver-haired woman from the Western Territories, called the assembly to order. We gather to address 3 matters, she announced. First, the crimes of the Circle of Six. Second, the recognition of Maya Silverbrook as a true alpha. Third, the future of Interpack governance. She turned to Maya. Maya Silverbrook stepped forward. Maya approached the center of the circle, feeling hundreds of eyes tracking her movement. You've presented evidence that 6 alphas, members of this very council, conspired to murder your parents and frame the covenant for their deaths. You've claimed they operated in secret for 20 years, consolidating power and eliminating threats. These are serious accusations. They're not accusations. They're facts. Maya kept her voice level. I have testimony from a mercenary who participated in the attack. Financial records showing payments. Communications between Circle members. And witnesses who saw them attempt to murder me when I tried to present this evidence publicly. The mercenary in question, Marcus Venn, has a criminal history. His testimony could be fabricated. It could be, which is why I'm not asking you to take his word alone. Verify the financial records. Interview the wolves who witnessed the council hall attack. Investigate the pattern of deaths and disappearances among wolves who questioned the Circle's authority. Maya met Meredith's eyes. Unless you're afraid of what you'll find. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. We are not afraid of truth, Meredith said sharply. But we also cannot simply accept the word of someone who appeared out of nowhere, claiming a dead bloodline. Then test me, Maya said. True alphas have specific abilities: moon binding, power channeling, the ability to command any wolf regardless of pack affiliation. Test me publicly. Prove I'm what I claim to be. Meredith's eyes narrowed. Very well. The traditional test for true alpha status requires 3 demonstrations. First, command a wolf from a neutral pack without using the mate bond or pack hierarchy. Second, channel moonlight without external aids. Third, bind a willing subject with moon chains. She gestured to a young male wolf from the Eastern Territories. Cade stepped forward. You are neutral in this matter. You've never met Maya Silverbrook, have no allegiance to Thornridge, and answer to no one in this room. Correct. Correct, counselor, the young wolf said. Maya Silverbrook, command him. Make him kneel without touching him, without threatening him, using only your alpha voice. Maya turned to Cade. He stood tall, arms crossed, clearly skeptical. She reached for that place inside her, the core of power that had awakened during her first shift, the connection to something ancient and primal. Kneel, she said softly. Her voice resonated with otherworldly authority. Cade's eyes went wide, and despite his obvious resistance, his legs bent. He dropped to one knee, unable to stop himself. How? He started. You may rise, Maya said, and the compulsion released him. Cade stood shakily, staring at her with newfound respect. I couldn't stop myself. Even though I wanted to. Meredith nodded slowly. First test passed. Second test, channel moonlight. It was midday. No moon visible in the sky. Maya closed her eyes and reached for that connection anyway. The moon was always there, even when hidden. Silver light began to glow beneath her skin, building in intensity until it burst forth in a controlled beam that lanced toward the ceiling. Maya shaped it, bent it, made it dance through the air like liquid silver before pulling it back into herself. Gasps echoed through the hall. Second test passed, Meredith said, her voice tight. Third test, moon binding. She gestured to another wolf, an older female from the northern packs. Astrid has volunteered. Bind her with moon chains, then release her safely. Maya approached the woman. This won't hurt, she promised. I trust you, true alpha, Astrid said quietly. Maya raised her hand, and silver chains materialized from thin air, wrapping gently around Astrid's wrists. The older wolf tested them, finding them solid but not painful. Now release her, Meredith commanded. Maya opened her hand, and the chains dissolved into mist. Silence filled the hall. Then Meredith spoke, her voice carrying across the assembly. The tests are conclusive. Maya Silverbrook is a true alpha, the first confirmed in over 20 years. She turned to the council. All in favor of recognizing her status and restoring the Silverbrook seat on this council? Hands rose across the room. Not all. Some alphas still look skeptical or hostile. But more than enough. Motion carried. Maya Silverbrook is hereby recognized as true alpha and granted a council seat. Meredith's expression was unreadable. Now, regarding the Circle of Six, we've completed our investigation based on the evidence you provided. Maya's heart hammered. And the financial records are authentic. The communications are verified. The pattern of deaths and disappearances you identified is real. Meredith's voice hardened. The Circle of Six did conspire to murder your parents. They did frame the covenant. And they did attempt to murder you to cover their crimes. Relief and vindication flooded through Maya. Through the bond, she felt Kieran's fierce pride. All 6 former council members are hereby stripped of their positions and their pack affiliations. They will be tried for murder, conspiracy, and corruption. If found guilty, the penalty is death. Finally, someone muttered from the crowd. However, Meredith continued, this raises a larger question. How did 6 alphas operate in secret for 20 years? How did corruption take root so deeply in our governance? How do we prevent this from happening again? Maya stepped forward. By changing the system. The old way, where alphas ruled by strength alone, where power was concentrated in a few families. It created the conditions for corruption. We need transparency, accountability, a way for pack members to challenge leadership without being killed for it. You're suggesting democracy. An alpha called from the crowd, his tone derisive. I'm suggesting balance. Strong leaders, yes, but also checks on that power. Council oversight. Regular elections. Rights for pack members to petition grievances. Maya looked around the room. The Circle of Six thrived because they faced no consequences. No one could challenge them. That has to change. And who decides these new rules? Another alpha demanded. You. A true alpha who appeared 2 months ago. Not just me. All of us. This council. Every pack represented here. Maya's voice strengthened. I'm not asking to rule you. I'm asking to work with you. To build something better than what we had. Tobias stood from the Covenant section. The Covenant supports this proposal. We've been labeled traitors and hunted for 20 years because we question the old ways. Maybe it's time the old ways actually changed. Arguments erupted. Alphas shouting over each other, some supporting Maya's vision, others defending tradition. The hall descended into chaos. Meredith slammed her staff against the floor. Order. We will address governance reforms, but not today. This council is adjourned. We reconvene in 1 month to discuss proposed changes. As the assembly broke up, wolves crowded around Maya, some offering congratulations, others wanting to discuss alliances, a few making veiled threats about upstart true alphas who don't know their place. Kieran stayed close, his protective instincts on high alert through the bond. Finally, they managed to escape to a private room. Magistra, Gideon, and the others joined them. That went better than expected, Gideon said. You're officially recognized. The Circle is facing justice. And you've planted the seeds for real reform. But we've also made enemies, Quinn pointed out. Did you see how some of those alphas looked at you? They see you as a threat to their power. Let them, Maya said. I'm not here to make everyone happy. I'm here to make things right. A knock at the door. Tobias entered alone. Congratulations, true alpha, he said. Though I suspect congratulations aren't what you're feeling. More like exhaustion, Maya admitted. And the knowledge that the real work is just beginning. Indeed. Which brings me to my purpose. Tobias looked around the room. The Covenant would like to propose a formal alliance with Thornridge Pack. Not temporary, like during the battle. Permanent. Kieran stiffened. Why? Because what Maya said about changing the system. The Covenant has been saying it for years. But we're outcasts. Criminals in the eyes of most packs. We have ideas but no legitimacy. Tobias met Maya's eyes. You have legitimacy. You're a true alpha, recognized by the council. If you support reforms, others will listen. Together, we could actually reshape pack governance. And what does the Covenant get out of this? Magistra asked suspiciously. Redemption. A chance to prove we're not the monsters we've been painted as. A seat at the table when the new world is built. Tobias smiled slightly. And protection. If Maya Silverbrook stands with us, other packs can't hunt us without consequences. Maya studied him. This alliance, it would mean Thornridge publicly supporting the Covenant. Defending you. That's not a small ask. No, it's not. But I think it's the right thing. And I think you agree, or you wouldn't have asked for our help at the Battle of Thornridge. He was right. Maya knew it. But she also knew the political cost would be enormous. What do you think? She asked Kieran through their bond. I think he's using you. But I also think he's right. The Covenant has been wrongly blamed for years. If we're going to reform the system, we need to start by correcting old injustices. Kieran's emotions were conflicted but honest. It's your choice, Maya. You're the true alpha. Maya looked at Magistra, who nodded slowly. At Gideon, who looked thoughtful. At Quinn, who shrugged. We need to discuss this with the full pack council, Maya said. But personally, I'm inclined to accept. On 2 conditions. Name them, Tobias said. First, the Covenant submits to the same accountability measures we're proposing for all packs. No secret operations. No vigilante justice. Everything transparent. Agreed. Second, you help us root out any remaining Circle supporters. There's still a traitor in Thornridge who helped them escape. Until we find them, our own house isn't clean. Tobias extended his hand. You have a deal, true alpha. Maya shook it, sealing an alliance that would change everything. That night, back at Thornridge, Maya stood on the balcony of her room, watching the moon rise. Kieran joined her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Are you sure about the Covenant alliance? He asked quietly. No, but I'm sure we need to try something different. The old ways led to the Circle of 6, led to my parents' deaths, led to 20 years of wolves being hunted for asking questions. She leaned back against him. If we're going to build something better, we have to be willing to take risks. Even if those risks make you a target? I've been a target since the moment I awakened. Might as well use that attention for something good. Kieran pressed a kiss to her temple. You know I'll stand with you. Whatever comes. I know. Maya turned in his arms. That's why I can be brave enough to try. They stood together under the moonlight, 2 wolves bound by love and purpose, ready to reshape their world. But in the shadows of the forest, eyes watched. The Circle of 6 was imprisoned, but their supporters remained. And they were not finished. Not by a long shot. Chapter 13. The Traitor Among Us. The attack came 3 weeks after the council meeting, in the darkest hours before dawn. Maya jolted awake to the sound of screaming and the acrid smell of smoke. Through the bond, she felt Kieran's alarm spike as he was already moving, throwing on clothes and reaching for weapons. What's happening? Maya demanded, scrambling out of bed. Fire. South wing. Kieran's voice was grim. And it's not accidental. I can smell accelerant. They raced through the lodge, joining other wolves already responding to the emergency. The south wing, where they'd been storing the evidence against the Circle of 6, was engulfed in flames that burned with unnatural intensity. Those are witch fire, Sky shouted over the roar of flames. Spelled to resist water and conventional suppression. Can you counter it? Maya asked. I can try, but it'll take time. Someone really didn't want us keeping that evidence. Quinn emerged from the smoke, coughing. The evidence room is destroyed. Everything, documents, recordings, physical evidence, it's all gone. Maya's stomach dropped. Without that evidence, prosecuting the Circle of 6 would be nearly impossible. It would be their word against convicted criminals, and many packs would use the lack of proof as an excuse to question the entire case. How did someone get past our security? Kieran demanded. We had wards, guards, magical alarms. Inside job, Gideon said flatly, appearing beside them. Has to be. Only someone with authorized access could have disabled the protections without triggering alerts. The traitor. The one who'd helped the Circle escape before. They'd struck again. Get everyone to safety, Maya commanded. Evacuate the south wing. Sky, do what you can about the fire. Gideon, I need a list of everyone who had access to that evidence room. As wolves scrambled to follow orders, Maya felt a surge of rage through the bond, not hers. Kieran's. The traitor is still here, he sent. Walking among us. Eating at our table. And we don't know who. Then we find out, Maya replied grimly. By sunrise, the fire was contained but the damage was done. The entire south wing was a charred ruin. And with it, most of the physical evidence against the Circle of 6. The pack gathered in the great hall, exhausted and angry. Maya stood before them, still smelling of smoke. Someone among us is working with the Circle's supporters, she said bluntly. Someone who has betrayed this pack twice now. First by helping the Circle escape, now by destroying evidence that would have ensured their conviction. Murmurs of shock and anger rippled through the crowd. I know this is painful. I know you want to trust each other. But we have a traitor in our midst, and until we root them out, none of us are safe. How do we know it's not you? A voice called from the back. Maya turned to see a middle-aged wolf named Drake standing, his expression hostile. You show up out of nowhere, claiming to be a true alpha. You ally with our enemies. You bring war to our doorstep. And now, conveniently, The evidence that proves your story burns up? How do we know you're not the traitor? Several wolves muttered agreement. Because I was asleep in my room when the fire started, Maya said calmly. Kieran can vouch for that. Your mate, not exactly an unbiased witness. Drake crossed his arms. For all we know, you two are working together. Kieran growled, but Maya raised a hand, stopping him. You're right to be suspicious, she said. In your position, I would be too. So let's establish facts. Gideon, who had access to the evidence room. Gideon stepped forward with a list. 15 wolves total. The council members, obviously. 3 archivists who cataloged the evidence. 4 guards on rotation. And 2 researchers who were analyzing the financial records. Where were all of them last night? We're checking now. But preliminary reports show everyone has an alibi. They were either on duty elsewhere, asleep with witnesses, or working in groups. Then someone's lying, Quinn said. Or the real traitor convinced someone else to do their dirty work. Maya rubbed her temples, exhaustion pulling at her. We need to question everyone systematically. Separately. Look for inconsistencies. Or, Magistra said quietly, we use magic. Everyone turned to stare at her. Truth spells exist, the elder continued. Rare, difficult to perform, but effective. If we brought in a neutral witch, someone unconnected to Thornridge or the Covenant, they could question the suspects under spell. Anyone lying would be revealed. That's a violation of privacy, someone protested. Of autonomy. So is betraying your pack and burning down our home, Rowan countered. I'll submit to the spell, Maya said. If it clears me of suspicion and helps us find the real traitor, it's worth it. Kieran nodded. As will I. One by one, the council members agreed. Then the archivists, guards, and researchers. Only Drake hesitated. This is wrong. Forcing people to submit to invasive magic. No one is being forced, Magistra said. But those who refuse will be noted. Drake's jaw clenched, but finally he nodded. Fine. I'll do it. But under protest. The witch arrived that evening. An ancient woman named Cordelia from the neutral territories. She was tiny, barely 5 feet tall, but power radiated from her like heat from a forge. Truth spells are dangerous, she warned as she set up her circle in the council chamber. They strip away all deception, all filters. You'll speak only truth under my spell. But sometimes truth hurts. Sometimes secrets kept for good reasons get exposed. Are you certain you want this? We need to know who the traitor is, Maya said. Whatever the cost. Cordelia nodded and began her preparations. The questioning took hours. One by one, the suspects sat in Cordelia's circle and answered questions under the truth spell's influence. The archivists were cleared. All 3 had been working together in a different wing, with multiple witnesses. The guards were cleared. They'd been on duty at various posts, all accounted for. The researchers were cleared. They'd been asleep in the barracks, confirmed by roommates. The council members were complicated. Gideon admitted to having doubts about Maya when she first arrived, to considering whether allying with her was worth the risk. But he'd been in his study during the fire, working on strategy reports. Quinn confessed to resenting Maya initially, seeing her as a pampered princess who'd never earned the respect she was given. But she'd been in the training yard, running night drills with a group of warriors. Cassius revealed he'd been secretly corresponding with a circle supporter, his own brother, who he'd been trying to convince to turn witness. But he'd been in the library during the fire, visible to the night librarian. Rowan admitted to lingering loyalty to former Alpha Theron, despite learning of his crimes. But he'd been helping fight the fire from the moment it started. Even Magistra had secrets. She'd known Theron was involved in something dark years ago, but had chosen to look away, trusting his judgment. But she'd been in her quarters during the fire, confirmed by her attendant. Kieran confessed fears about being worthy of Maya, about leading Thornridge, about whether completing the mate bond was selfish when war loomed. But he'd been in bed with Maya when the fire started. And Maya herself, under the spell's influence, admitted to moments of doubt about whether she was really fit to be a true alpha, to fears that she was leading wolves to their deaths, to wondering if her parents would be disappointed in the choices she'd made. But none of them were the traitor. Finally, only Drake remained. He sat in the circle, defiant. This is a waste of time. Then the truth spell will prove that quickly, Cordelia said. Unless you have something to hide. Drake's eyes darted to the door. Seal the room, Kieran commanded. Guards moved to block the exits. Cordelia activated the spell. Drake's body went rigid as magic enveloped him. Did you set the fire? Cordelia asked. No. Drake's voice was strained but truthful. Did you destroy the evidence? No. Do you know who did? Silence. Drake's face turned red, veins standing out on his neck as he fought the compulsion to speak. Answer the question, Cordelia commanded, increasing the spell's intensity. Yes. The word burst from Drake like it had been torn out. Yes, I know who did it. Shock rippled through the room. Who? Maya demanded. Drake's eyes were wild, desperate. I can't, they'll kill my family. We'll protect your family, Kieran said. I give you my word as Alpha. Tell us who the traitor is. Drake's resistance crumbled. Victoria, the head archivist. She's been working for the Circle's supporters since before the battle. They have her daughter. Kidnapped her 3 months ago. Said they'd kill her unless Victoria helped them. The room erupted. Victoria, one of the archivists who'd supposedly been cleared. But she hadn't acted alone. Where is Victoria now? Gideon demanded. I don't know. She set the fire and ran. Said she'd done her part and they'd return her daughter now. Drake's voice broke. I tried to talk her out of it. Tried to find another way. But she was desperate. They had her child. Maya felt sick. Not a traitor motivated by ideology or greed, but a mother trying to save her daughter. Find her, she ordered. And find her daughter. If the Circle's supporters still have that child, they'll use her as leverage to force Victoria to do more. The pack mobilized immediately. Search parties fanned out across the territory. Messages went to allied packs, and even the Covenant, asking for any information about a kidnapped wolf child. Maya stood in the council chamber as others rushed to organize the search, feeling the weight of it all pressing down. This is my fault, she said quietly to Kieran. If I hadn't pushed so hard to prosecute the Circle, they wouldn't have taken that child. Victoria wouldn't have been forced to betray her pack. This is the Circle's fault, Kieran said firmly. They took an innocent child and turned a loyal wolf into a weapon. That's on them, not you. But the result is the same. A child is still in danger. Evidence is still destroyed. The Circle might still escape justice. Kieran turned her to face him. Then we adapt. Find new evidence. Build a new case. Rescue that child and bring Victoria home safely. We don't give up, Maya. Not now. Through the bond, she felt his absolute certainty. His faith in her. Together? She asked. Always, he replied. The search for Victoria and her daughter took 3 days. They found Victoria first, hiding in an abandoned cabin at the edge of Thornridge territory, half mad with fear and guilt. I'm sorry, she sobbed when Quinn's team discovered her. I'm so sorry. They said they'd kill her. Said they'd send me pieces. What was I supposed to do? Where's your daughter now? Quinn asked gently. I don't know. They were supposed to return her after I destroyed the evidence, but they haven't. They won't answer my messages. Victoria's eyes were wild. Please. She's only 7 years old. Please find her. They brought Victoria back to the lodge under guard. Not as a prisoner, but for her own protection. Maya met with her privately. I know you did what you thought you had to do, Maya said. And I don't blame you for that. But I need your help now. Everything you know about who took your daughter. Every detail. Victoria nodded, wiping tears. There were 3 of them. All Circle supporters. One was a witch named Seraphine. Maya's blood turned to ice. Seraphine. The head witch from the attack on my parents. I don't know. Maybe. She was old, powerful, scary. She's the one who coordinated everything. The other 2 were enforcers, muscle. They kept moving my daughter, never staying in one place. When did you last have contact? 4 days ago. Before the fire. They sent me a photo of Lily, my daughter, to prove she was alive. But nothing since. Sky, who'd been observing, leaned forward. Can I see the photo? Victoria handed over her phone. Sky studied the image, then pulled out a map. There. She pointed to a location in the mountains. See the rock formation in the background? That's distinctive. Only found in one place, the Black Pine Caves. If they took the photo recently, she might still be there. Hope flared in Victoria's eyes. You can find her? We can try, Maya said. Then she turned to Kieran. Assemble a rescue team. Fast, quiet, experienced fighters. We're bringing that child home. Chapter 14. The Black Pine Rescue. The Black Pine Caves were a maze of tunnels carved into the mountainside over millennia. Perfect for hiding and for setting traps. Maya crouched in the pre-dawn darkness with her rescue team. Kieran, Quinn, Gideon, and surprisingly Tobias. The Covenant leader had volunteered when he heard about the mission. Seraphine is one of ours, he'd explained grimly. Or was before she went rogue. If she's involved, you'll need someone who knows how she thinks. Now they studied the cave entrance from their hidden position. 2 guards stood watch, both heavily armed, both showing signs of shadow corruption. How do we play this? Quinn whispered. Quiet approach, Maya said. We don't know where they're keeping the child. If we alert them, they might use her as a hostage or kill her outright. Gideon nodded. Tobias and I will neutralize the guards. The rest of you slip inside and locate the girl. Once she's secure, we extract fast. What about Seraphine? Kieran asked. Leave her to me, Tobias said darkly. I owe her a conversation about loyalty. They moved on Maya's signal. Tobias and Gideon were shadows in the darkness, approaching the guards with practiced silence. 2 quick strikes, and both guards dropped unconscious. Maya, Kieran, and Quinn slipped past into the cave system. The tunnels were dark and cold, lit only by occasional phosphorescent moss. Maya's wolf senses guided her. She could smell fear, old and fresh. A child's fear. This way, she sent through the pack link, following the scent. They moved deeper, the tunnels branching and splitting. Twice they had to hide as patrols passed. The circle's supporters had more guards than expected. Finally, they reached a larger chamber. And there, in a makeshift cell of silver bars, sat a small girl with dark hair and Victoria's eyes. Lily. She was alive, curled in a corner with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. When she saw them, her eyes went wide with fear. It's okay, Maya whispered, approaching slowly. Your mother sent us. We're here to take you home. Mama. Lily's voice was small, hopeful. She's waiting for you. But we need to be very quiet, okay? Lily nodded. Quinn examined the cell. Silver lock. I can pick it, but it'll take a minute. She set to work while Maya and Kieran kept watch. The seconds stretched agonizingly. Then footsteps echoed from deeper in the cave. Multiple sets. Company, Kieran muttered. A woman emerged from the shadows. Ancient, withered, with eyes that burned with dark fire. Seraphine. Behind her came a dozen corrupted wolves, their eyes red with shadow magic. How touching, Seraphine said, her voice like gravel. The true alpha playing hero. Did you really think I wouldn't know you were coming? We just want the child, Maya said, positioning herself between Seraphine and the cell. Let her go and we'll leave. Oh, I don't think so. That child is leverage. Insurance against interference. Seraphine smiled, showing blackened teeth. But since you're here, I suppose we can negotiate. The child for you. A fair trade. No deal, Kieran growled. Then the child dies. And you all die trying to save her. Seraphine raised her hands, dark energy crackling between her fingers. Got it, Quinn whispered. The cell door swung open. Maya made a split-second decision. Quinn, get Lily out. Now. Maya. That Quinn grabbed the child and ran, using a side tunnel. 2 corrupted wolves moved to intercept, but Kieran was faster, taking them down with brutal efficiency. Seraphine laughed. Brave. Foolish. Just like your mother. She unleashed her magic, black fire that roared toward Maya. Maya countered with moonlight, and the 2 forces collided in an explosion that shook the cave. You killed my parents, Maya said, her voice cold. You murdered them on the Circle's orders. I did my job. Nothing personal. Though I must admit, your mother's screams were particularly satisfying. Seraphine's smile was cruel. Would you like to hear how she begged? How she cried for you? Rage exploded through Maya, white-hot and overwhelming. Her wolf surged forward, demanding blood. Don't let her bait you, Kieran warned through the bond. Stay focused. But it was hard. So hard. Tobias appeared from a side tunnel, his expression murderous. Seraphine. I should have killed you years ago. Tobias. Still playing hero, I see. How's that working out? She sent a bolt of shadow magic at him. He dodged, returning fire with his own power. Clean, silver, untainted. The 2 witches began a deadly dance, magic flying between them. More corrupted wolves poured into the chamber. Maya and Kieran fought back to back, their bond making them devastating. Where one attacked, the other defended. They moved as one entity, perfectly synchronized. But they were outnumbered. Maya felt a claw rake across her side. Pain exploded through her, and through the bond, Kieran felt it too. His howl of rage echoed through the cave. I'm okay, she sent. Focus. The cave was collapsing, Seraphine's magic destabilizing the ancient stone. Rocks fell from the ceiling. Dust filled the air. "We need to retreat," Gideon shouted, appearing with reinforcements. More Thornridge wolves who'd been waiting outside. Not without stopping her, Maya argued. Seraphine was channeling something massive, dark energy building into a sphere of annihilation. If she released it, everyone in the cave would die. Maya made another split-second decision. She dropped her defenses and opened herself completely to the moon's power. Not the controlled channeling from before, but everything. All of it. Silver light exploded from her body, so bright it turned night into day. It swept through the chamber like a cleansing wave, burning away shadow corruption, purifying tainted magic. The corrupted wolves screamed as darkness was purged from their bodies. Some collapsed, unconscious but clean. Others fled. And Seraphine's dark spell unraveled, the energy dissipating harmlessly. The Ancient Witch stared at Maya in shock. Impossible. That level of power. You shouldn't be able to. "I'm a true alpha," Maya said, her voice resonating with otherworldly authority. "And I say, enough." She bound Seraphine with moon chains, the silver light wrapping around the witch until she couldn't move. "The Circle of Six is finished," Maya said. "Their supporters are scattered. Their corruption is being purged. And you're going to face justice for every life you've taken. Starting with my parents." Seraphine spat at her feet. "You think you've won? This is just the beginning. There are forces older than the Circle, darker than you can imagine. And they're coming for you, little Alpha. Coming to tear down everything you're building." "Let them come," Maya said. "I'll be ready." Then the power crested, and Maya felt her knees buckle. Kieran caught her before she fell. "I've got you," he sent. "Always." They emerged from the caves as dawn broke. Quinn had gotten Lily to safety. The child was being checked by healers, but appeared physically unharmed. Seraphine was bound and gagged, carried by 4 wolves who looked ready to tear her apart at the slightest provocation. The corrupted wolves who'd survived were being detained. Some seemed confused, disoriented, like they were waking from nightmares. The shadow corruption had controlled them, forced them to do things they never would have chosen. Victoria was waiting at the extraction point. When she saw her daughter, she ran forward with a cry of joy, sweeping Lily into her arms and sobbing. "Mama!" Lily clung to her mother. "I was so scared, but the pretty wolf lady saved me." Victoria looked at Maya over her daughter's head, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll never be able to repay." "You don't need to repay anything," Maya said gently. "Just take care of your daughter. That's enough." Back at Thornridge, the celebration was subdued but genuine. They'd rescued an innocent child, captured one of the Circle's key supporters, freed wolves from shadow corruption. It was a victory, but Maya couldn't shake Seraphine's words. "There are forces older than the Circle, darker than you can imagine." "What do you think she meant?" Maya asked Kieran later, as they stood on their balcony watching the sunset. "Probably just trying to scare you. Make you doubt." "Maybe. Or maybe she was telling the truth." Maya leaned against the railing. "We've been so focused on the Circle of Six, but what if they were just puppets? What if there's something bigger pulling the strings?" Kieran was silent for a moment. "Then we'll face it, whatever it is. Together." "Together," Maya echoed. But that night, she dreamed of shadows with burning eyes. Of something ancient stirring in the dark places of the world. Of a threat she couldn't yet name. When she woke, Kieran was already up, standing at the window. "You felt it too," she said. "Not a question." "Something's coming," he agreed. "Something big." Maya joined him at the window. The sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Beautiful and peaceful. But storms were gathering on the horizon, and Maya Silverbrook would need to be ready. Chapter 15. Dawn of a New Pack. 6 months after the Battle of Thornridge, Maya stood before the Allied Council once more. But this time, everything was different. The council chamber had been rebuilt, larger, with seating for representatives from 30 packs instead of the original 23. The Covenant had been granted official recognition, their seat marked with their sigil alongside the traditional packs. And at the head table, in the seat reserved for true alphas, sat Maya Silverbrook. No longer a frightened bartender with no memory. Now a leader, a symbol, a force for change. The trial of the Circle of Six had concluded 3 weeks ago. All 6 former alphas were found guilty of murder, conspiracy, and corruption, for had been executed according to pack law. 2, including Corwin, had accepted exile instead, stripped of their positions and forbidden from ever holding authority again. Seraphine, the witch who'd killed Maya's parents, had been sentenced to magical binding, her powers sealed away permanently before she was imprisoned for life. Justice after 20 years. But Maya knew justice was just the beginning. The council recognizes true Alpha Maya Silverbrook, Counselor Meredith announced. You've requested this emergency session to present a proposal. The floor is yours. Maya stood, feeling hundreds of eyes on her. 6 months ago, she would have been terrified. Now she was ready. Thank you, Counselor. I'm here to propose the Thornridge Accords, a new framework for pack governance that addresses the systemic failures that allowed the Circle of Six to operate for 20 years. She activated a magical display, images and text floating in the air for all to see. First, transparency. All pack alphas will submit to annual reviews by neutral councils. Financial records will be audited. Complaints from pack members will be investigated by independent parties. Some alphas shifted uncomfortably. Second, accountability. Pack members will have the right to challenge leadership through formal channels without fear of retaliation. Alphas who abuse their power will face consequences, including removal from position. You're asking us to give up authority, an alpha called out. To weaken our own packs. I'm asking you to earn authority, Maya countered. To lead because your packs choose you, not because they fear you. Strong leadership doesn't require absolute power. It requires trust. And trust must be earned. Third, unity. The old territorial divisions have made us weak. Isolated packs are easy targets for corruption and external threats. The Accords would establish regular inter-pack cooperation, shared resources during crises, joint training programs, cultural exchanges. Tobias stood from the Covenant section. The Covenant supports these Accords. We've seen firsthand what happens when packs operate in isolation, when power goes unchecked. It's time for change. Other alphas began to murmur, some in agreement, others in opposition. This is idealistic nonsense, Alpha Darius of Stonefall declared. You're barely an adult, true alpha or not. What do you know about running a pack? I know what happens when leaders prioritize power over people, Maya said calmly. I know what it's like to be hunted by those who should have protected me. I know the cost of corruption. Her voice strengthened. And I know we can do better, must do better, for our children, for our future. She looked around the chamber. The Thornridge Accords aren't perfect. They're a starting point, a framework we can build on together. But they require something radical. They require us to admit the old ways failed, to be willing to try something new. And if we refuse, someone asked, then you refuse. I'm not forcing anyone to adopt these Accords. But Thornridge will implement them, as will the Covenant, as will any pack that wants to be part of building something better. Maya's eyes blazed. And eventually, the packs that cling to the old ways will find themselves isolated, outdated, irrelevant. Silence fell. Then, surprisingly, Counselor Meredith spoke. I'm old. I've seen corruption fester, seen good wolves die because they dared to speak truth. I've watched this council protect its own rather than protect justice. She stood. The Silverbrook Accords have my support. And I call for a vote. One by one, hands rose. Not all. Many alphas remained resistant, threatened by the proposed changes. But more than half the council voted in favor. The Accords passed. The celebration at Thornridge that night was exuberant. The Great Hall was packed with wolves from multiple packs. Thornridge, Covenant, and the dozen other packs that had immediately pledged to implement the Accords. Maya stood with Kieran on the balcony overlooking the festivities, his arm around her waist. You did it, he said. You actually changed the entire pack political system. We did it, Maya corrected. This was never just me. Through the bond, she felt his pride, his love, his certainty that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Have you thought about what comes next? He asked. Maya had. She'd thought about it a lot. The Accords are just the beginning. We need to establish the oversight councils, create the complaint systems, train mediators. And then there's the external threats. Seraphine mentioned forces darker than the Circle. We need to prepare. Always the alpha, thinking 3 steps ahead. Someone has to. She leaned into him. But tonight, I just want to be Maya, your mate. Not the true alpha or the moon's champion or any other title. Just me. Kieran kissed her temple. You're always just you to me. Everything else is just window dressing. They stood together, watching their pack celebrate below. Families dancing. Warriors laughing. Children playing games that would have been impossible 6 months ago when war seemed inevitable. Peace. Hard-won and fragile, but real. I have something to tell you, Maya said quietly. Through the bond, she felt Kieran's immediate attention. What? I'm pregnant. He went absolutely still. Then, through the bond, an explosion of joy so intense it made Maya laugh. We're. He couldn't seem to finish the sentence. About 8 weeks along. Sky confirmed it this morning. Maya turned to face him. I know the timing isn't ideal. We're still implementing the accords, still hunting circle supporters, still dealing with. Kieran kissed her, cutting off her words. When they broke apart, his eyes were suspiciously bright. The timing is perfect, he said. Because our child will be born into a world we're making better. A world where true alphas don't have to hide. Where packs work together instead of fighting. Where corruption is challenged instead of tolerated. A world we're building together, Maya said. Together, he echoed. They rejoined the celebration, and when Kieran announced to the pack that their alpha was expecting, the howls of joy could be heard for miles. Late that night, after the celebration had wound down and the lodge had quieted, Maya stood alone in the moonlight. The pendant her mother had worn, the one she'd carried through her awakening, her battles, her transformation, rested against her chest, warm and familiar. I hope you'd be proud, she whispered to parents she barely remembered. I hope this is what you wanted. A world where our family's legacy isn't just pain and loss, but hope and change. The moon seemed to pulse brighter, as if an answer. And Maya felt it, a connection to something larger than herself. To all the true alphas who'd come before. To the wolves who'd fought and died for justice. To the future she was building, one decision at a time. She wasn't just the last of her line anymore. She was the first of something new. A true alpha who led not through fear, but through trust. Who united instead of divided. Who chose truth over comfort, justice over power, hope over despair. Maya Silverbrook had come to Thornridge a lost girl with no memory and no purpose. She would leave it, when her time came, decades from now, as a legend. The alpha who changed everything. But that was the future. Tonight, she was simply Maya. Mate alpha friend. Soon to be mother. And that was more than enough. The moon watched over Thornridge as Maya returned to the lodge, to Kieran, to the pack that had become her family. And in the forest, new wolves were already being born. A generation that would grow up knowing the Silverbrook name not as tragedy, but as triumph. The old world was dying. The new world was being born. And Maya Silverbrook stood at the center of it all, ready for whatever came next. Together with her pack. Together with her mate. Together, they would build something worth fighting for. Something worth believing in. A future where wolves could be free. The end.